Chapter 811. Yi Zhen's hit was very hard, and she found a good angle to hit, just hitting Yi Ninggen's abdomen. It wasn't that she wasn't afraid of the knife in her hand, but she realized something when she saw the knife. Yi Ninggen had never thought about letting her live from beginning to end. She had always wanted herself to die. Even if she signed, it would be useless. If she really signed, she would die faster. Yi Ninggen didn't expect that Yi Zhen could still fight back at this time. Caught off guard, she took a big step back, and the knife in her hand fell to the ground. It was at this time that Yi Zhen picked up the knife. Ignoring the dizziness of her body and the fact that her feet were still tied, she pressed the knife against Yi Ninggen's neck. She had just swayed for a long time, and now her body was weak. After doing this, her whole body was trembling. "Yi Zhen, what are you doing?" "What am I doing?" Yi Zhen sneered. She endured the discomfort of her body and pressed the knife against it. "What you wanted to do to me just now, I want to do to you now." "You? What?" "Your mother is in prison, but didn't she teach you a lesson?" Yi Zhen said quite rudely. The daughter of a mistress can't be shown in public. Even her methods are exactly the same. As she spoke, she pressed the knife in her hand a little deeper. The sharp blade cut a wound on Yi Ninggen's neck. "Yi Zhen, don't you dare. If you kill me, you can't escape," Yi Ninggen shouted. "Come in, kill her, kill her." Yi Zhen wasn't afraid at all. If someone died, Yi Ninggen would die first. There was the sound of messy footsteps outside. There was also the sound of a car engine approaching. Yi Ninggen laughed. "Ha ha ha ha, did you hear that? My helper is here. If you really dare to kill me, you won't get any benefits. I'll tell you, you'll die too." However, the person who rushed and didn't attack Yi Zhen as she thought. A tall figure came forward and picked Yi Zhen up, taking the knife away from her hand. The rope around her legs was untied, and her body was firmly held in the person's arms. That familiar cool aura made Yi Zhen, who had been tensed up, relax. Her body went limp, and she leaned weakly into Li Juanxing's arms. "You're here?" There were sirens, engines, and voices behind her, but she couldn't hear them at all. There was only Li Juanxing in front of her. Only this embrace in front of her. "I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm late." Li Juanxing hugged her tightly and pressed his chin against her neck. The rims of his eyes were hot. The feeling of regaining what she had lost made her heart skip a beat. "I'm sorry. Sorry." Yi Zhen shook his head. Just now, he had been holding on by sheer will. If the people outside were really Yi Ninggen's accomplices, she would really be dead. After all, she was not as ruthless as Yi Ninggen, and could not really kill people. "Uncle Li, I'm here. I'm here. Don't let her go." Yi Zhen was really dizzy. She had been holding on until now. "She's so bad. She hung me there and swung me around. Uncle Li, I'm scared to death. I'm really scared." Li Juanxing's heart ached. He hugged Yi Zhen tightly in his arms. "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. It's okay. It's okay. She even deliberately put me on the ground. I'm really dizzy. I'm so tired. My hands hurt, and my feet hurt. She still wants to kill me. Uncle Li, she wants to kill me. No, she won't. No, she won't. With me here, she won't be able to hurt you at all. Uncle Li." Yi Zhen finally couldn't hold on anymore. She began to close her eyes. "Zhao Li and Zhao Li. Uncle Li, you have to save. Zhenzhen? Zhenzhen." Li Juanxing had never tasted such a feeling before. He hugged Yi Zhen tightly and flew outside. In his familiar arms, Yi Zhen allowed herself to completely lose consciousness. Before Li Juanxing got into the car, he looked at Yi Ninggen, who was being held upside down by her hands. His eyes were extremely cold. He looked at Secretary Chen, and a flash of ruthlessness appeared on his face. "Don't send her to the police station so quickly. Since she likes to hang people, let her have a taste of that." Secretary Chen's lips moved. He wanted to say that this wasn't appropriate. However, when he saw Li Juanxing's expression, he swallowed the rest of his words. After Li Juanxing finished explaining, he hurriedly took Yi Zhen to the hospital. He asked the doctor to do a detailed examination on her, and confirmed that Yi Zhen was fine. She had just been hung for too long, and had some symptoms of dehydration. Li Juanxing saw the red marks on Yi Zhen's wrists and ankles. He exuded a murderous aura. He called Secretary Chen, and asked him to tell Chief Chen not to bring Yi Ningen to the police station, without hanging her for the whole night. He wanted to stand up for his little girl. Even if he would be criticized, he couldn't care less. Yi Zhen slept all the way until the next morning before waking up. When she opened her eyes, she immediately saw Li Junqing guarding her bedside. "Uncle Li?" Just as she was about to get up, Li Junqing had already helped her up. "Don't be in a hurry to get up. You're still very weak." He took the warm water from the side and carefully fed it to her. Then, he placed the pillow behind her waist for her to lean against. "How are you? Do you feel better?" Yi Zhen blinked her eyes and remembered what happened before she fainted. "Uncle Li Yi Ningen, she was arrested." Li Junqing's expression didn't look good when he thought of Yi Ningen. "Yesterday, I had someone hang her for the whole night and sent her to the police station this morning. Don't worry, she won't be able to escape the charge of intentional murder." Yi Zhen nodded. "Last night, Yi Ningen did want to kill her. However, Uncle Li, how is Zhao Li?" "She's fine. She was knocked unconscious and thrown by the side of the road. It's also because she has a good foundation and woke up early. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to find you so quickly." Li Junqing felt a lingering fear when he mentioned it. Aren't you going on a business trip?" "No. Yi Ningen lied to you." Li Junqing placed her hand in his and squeezed it tightly. "I've been in Qing City. She lied to you on purpose." Yi Zhen understood that Yi Ningen had been lying from beginning to end. But how did she do it?" The little secretary in your company's secretary office, the one who ordered lunch boxes for you, is Chen Wan's person." "What?" Yi Zhen's eyes widened. She couldn't believe her ears. How is that possible? She thought that after she entered the company, she had almost cleaned up the company in the past month. Also, how did Chen Wan interfere with the company's internal affairs? "Calm down." Li Junqing squeezed her hand and told her what had happened. That day, Yi Ningen went to see Chen Wan. Chen Wan was accused of murder and knew that she wouldn't be able to get out easily. However, the biggest problem in this matter was Yi Zhen. Chen Wan knew that even if she couldn't get out, she had to drag Yi Zhen down with her. It was true that she had lived a pampered life for many years, but before Chen Wan married Yi Nanshan, she had lived in the bungalow area of Qing City for more than 10 years. In those 10 years, in order not to lose both ends, Chen Wan secretly slept with Yi Nanshan. But at the same time, she hooked up with another man. At first, that man was just a hooligan. Later, he climbed up to a branch of the Zhan family and slowly developed his own power. Chen Wan was good-looking, gentle, and good at catering to people. In the days without Yi Nanshan, Chen Wan relied on that man and lived a good life. This was also the reason why Chen Wan was able to live a good life before she married into the Yi family. When Li Junqing investigated the cause of Lu Hui's death, he found out that Chen Wan had this clue. He even had reason to suspect that Lu Hui's death might have been caused by this man. After she married Yi Nanshan, Chen Wan rarely interacted with this man. Firstly, Chen Wan wanted to be a noble lady and wished she could erase all the bad times in the past. Secondly, she didn't want Yi Nanshan to have even the slightest suspicion of her. Later on, the situation in the Zhan family was turbulent. The head of the family changed from Zhan Lai to Zhan Haoza. The branch of the Zhan family that the man was attached to could no longer be attached to, but he still had a foundation. This time, Chen Wan was also anxious. Firstly, she was afraid that she would really go to jail. At that time, Yi Ningen and Yi Jianhao would have no one to rely on. Secondly, she was also afraid that Yi Nanshan would lose the lawsuit again. At that time, most of the shares would fall into Yi Zhen's hands. Then what would her children get? After thinking about it, Chen Wan decided to let Yi Ningen contact that man again and take the risk to kill Yi Zhen. Of course, before killing Yi Zhen, she had to make her sign the agreement to transfer the shares. As soon as Yi Zhen signed the agreement, that man's subordinates would kill Yi Zhen. At that time, the body would be casually thrown away, and an accident would happen, without anyone noticing. No, Yi Zhen recovered now. She wasn't seriously injured. Why did that man listen to Chen Wan so much? You have to know that this is a crime of murder. What if she was caught? Besides, That man had been hiding it and never appeared. Why did he agree when Chunwan begged him? There's another reason why that man helped Chunwan. Li Junqing looked at Yi Zhen. There were some things that he wouldn't know if he didn't really investigate carefully. What reason? He's Yi Jianhao, the biological father of your cheap brother. Yi Zhen almost choked on her own saliva. How is that possible? Is Chunwan crazy? She's not crazy. Li Junqing thought about the information he had found, and then thought of Yi Nanshan, who knew nothing about it. He couldn't help but sneer. When she was with brother Lin, that man, Lin's business wasn't going well. For a period of time, Lin's business was not going well, and he needed a large sum of money. Chunwan came up with an idea. She told brother Lin that most of his business was shady, but he couldn't do it openly like Yi Nanshan. Then she got pregnant. It was brother Lin's child. She told brother Lin that she was going to marry Yi Nanshan with the child in her stomach. Yi Nanshan valued boys more than girls. Although he said he loved his daughter, he always wanted a son. But after your mother gave birth to you, her health deteriorated, and she devoted herself to work. So she didn't get pregnant again. Yi Nanshan still wanted a son. Chunwan knew about this, so she used the child in her stomach to make Yi Nanshan force Lu Hui to divorce. But no matter how much Yi Nanshan wanted a son, he knew some things. If Lu Hui divorced him, he would probably get half of the family property. He didn't want to, so he never agreed. That Chunwan originally wanted your father to kill your mother, but she didn't. But she was afraid that Yi Nanshan would think she was vicious, so she didn't mention it in front of him. Speaking of which, Chunwan was indeed amazing. She had always maintained her image of a white lotus in front of your father. After that, brother Lin gave her the idea to poison your mother. So they found Wang Chunhua. They gave Wang Chunhua a large sum of money to treat her man, and drug your mother at the same time. Wang Chunhua was stupid and didn't know much. In the end she agreed. At this point, Li Junqing looked at Yi Zhen's dumbfounded expression and sighed. He pulled her into his arms again. After your mother was poisoned, Chunwan knew that her chance had come. That's why she wanted to get pregnant, so that she could marry your father. Speaking of which, she wasn't stupid. She knew that if this was true, it would be easy to deal with. So she kept your father and brother Lin at the same time. In the end, Chunwan got pregnant and Lu Hui died of a serious illness. She used this child to successfully marry Yi Nanshan. It was true that the child was brother Lin's. Brother Lin knew that his son would become the young master of a rich family in the future. So he agreed to Chunwan's request and stopped seeing her. Just like that, Chunwan used a child to marry Yi Nanshan. Yi Zhen was already stunned. She didn't expect such a turn of events. Then, what about Yi Ningen? She is indeed your father's daughter. Have you forgotten? You did a paternity test on her and your father before. Yi Zhen also remembered this. She nodded. She remembered that she only knew that Yi Nanshan had an affair with Chunwan last time. But she didn't ask Yi Nanshan and Yi Jianhao to do a paternity test. Now it seemed that Chunwan had lied to Yi Nanshan. My father still doesn't know, right? Yes. Li Junqing curled his lips and couldn't hide the mockery in his expression. He's still trying to find a lawyer to appeal again. Also, he doesn't know that Chunwan lied to him. Now he doesn't know what happened to Yi Ningen yesterday. Heh. Yi Zhen didn't know what to feel at this moment. Yi Nanshan wanted a son, but the child that Chunwan gave birth to wasn't his. She wondered if Yi Nanshan would regret it after he found out. Chunwan went to the detention center. But your father didn't do anything. Your father is really cold. Yi Zhen suddenly retreated from Li Junqing's arms. She retreated and stared into Li Junqing's eyes. There was one thing that she insisted on an answer. Does Yi Nanshan have anything to do with my mother's death? Yi Nanshan didn't care about Chunwan's life at all. He could be cold to Chunwan now. But was it possible that he was the same to Lu Hui back then? Perhaps he was also behind Lu Hui's death. I've already checked. It shouldn't be related. Li Junqing was speechless when he thought of his future father-in-law. Even if it wasn't related, Lu Hui's death at Chunwan's hands could be considered as his indirect death. Are you sure? It would be best if it wasn't related. She was afraid that it was related. I'm sure it isn't. Li Junqing gave her an affirmative answer. You know, if he was really involved, he should be a little nervous about Chunwan going to prison. Yi Zhen was silent. Although this outcome wasn't within her expectations, it was still reasonable. Chunwan will be guilty, right? Yes. Yi Ningen will also be guilty, right? Of course. Yi Zhen nodded. What she needed was Li Juanqing's encouragement and a positive answer. I want to leave the hospital. I want to look for Yi Nanshan. If you want to do anything, tell me. I'll do it. Rest well. I think you're very weak. I'm fine. It was just that she had been hung for too long yesterday, and she had gotten a fright. She was fine now. Maybe I'm petty. Yi Zhen's lips curled into a mocking smile. If he didn't try his best to be with my mother wouldn't have died. It's a fact that he cheated and betrayed my mother. Now he still has to fight for some shares. He values boys more than girls. All he wants is to give the company and the shares to Yi Jianhao, my cheap younger brother. I really want to know how he will deal with himself after he finds out that Yi Jianhao isn't his son. How will he face Chunwan and Yi Ningen? Uncle Li, am I very scary? Do you think I'm a very scary person? Yi Zhen realized that she didn't mind letting Li Juanqing know this side of her at all. I think I'm quite vicious too, but I just can't accept it. Nonsense. Li Juanqing squeezed her hand tightly. He looked at her with a pitiful expression. My Zhen isn't vicious at all. If you want him to pay the price, I'll go with you. Whether it's the company, property, or anything else, just tell me what kind of punishment you want him to get. No need. Yi Zhen shook her head. I don't want to punish him. I just want to tell him everything. I just want him to know what kind of true face the woman he once believed in and loved. Li Juanqing nodded and held her hand. Are you sure you don't want to rest for a few more days? There's really no need. There was a flash of playfulness in Yi Zhen's eyes. Maybe I'll be fine after I vent my anger. Li Juanqing was relieved that she could still joke. He asked Secretary Chen to complete the discharge procedures and left the hospital with her. The car approached the Yi family's villa. Yi Zhen hadn't been back here for a long time. In fact, after Lu Hui died, she didn't want to continue living here. But she couldn't leave. If she left, it would benefit Chunwan and her daughter. After entering the door, it was the weekend. Yi Jianhao didn't go to school. At home, he was playing Transformers with the nanny. When he saw Yi Zhen coming back, he didn't even lift his eyelids. He had been taught by Chunwan not to get close to his sister since he was young. Fortunately, she wasn't really his sister. Yi Zhen could be indifferent to people he didn't care about. Yi Ningen didn't go home for a night. But Yi Nanshan wasn't worried. Chunwan went to prison, but he didn't seem to be worried. Honestly speaking, this man was indeed very cold. And now, this cold man was still in the study talking to Lawyer Ding about how to get the shares back. After Yi Zhen heard where he was, she went upstairs. The servants didn't dare to stop her. This young lady used to be suppressed by the madam, so she wasn't sharp. Today, she had a fierce look on her face. She actually let her walk all the way to Yi Nanshan's study. Lawyer Ding, just tell me directly what the chances of winning are to keep the shares. If you can't do it, I'll have to change lawyers. Mr. Yi, you signed the agreement yourself. It's not easy for us to keep 5% now. To be honest, even if you appeal again, I think we can only uphold the original judgment. Yi Nanshan's expression was ugly. After thinking for a moment, he said, by the way, how confident are you in Chunwan's lawsuit? After all, she was Yi Jianhao's biological mother. He didn't want Chunwan to suffer too much. As for Lu Hui, she was already dead. There was no evidence, so it was naturally more important to protect Chunwan first. Yi Zhen stood at the door. She was wrong. She originally thought that Yi Nanshan was cold, but now it seemed that he wasn't completely useless. After knocking on the door, Yi Nanshan was shocked. Without waiting for his permission, Yi Zhen entered the door with Li Juanqing. Why are you still here? Yi Nanshan was angry when he saw this daughter. If it weren't for her, how could he have been pulled down from the position of chairman? How could Chunwan be in jail? How could he not get the company's shares back? Yi Zhen looked at Yi Nanshan expressionlessly. Someone squeezed her palm slightly, and the warm touch made her turn to look at Li Juanqing. When she met the look in his eyes, she shook her head at him. At this point, Yi Nanshan's words and actions could no longer hurt her at all, since she no longer regarded him as her father. Then no matter what Yi Nanshan did or said, he couldn't hurt her at all. Why can't I come? Yi Zhen's expression was indifferent. She glanced at Lawyer Ding. You're asking Lawyer Ding to prepare the materials for another appeal, right? But I think it's useless. Yi Zhen, get out of here. You're not welcome in this family. Yi Nanshan stood up angrily and slammed his hand on the table. Do you think I'm willing to come just because you don't welcome me? Yi Zhen sneered. I'm just here to tell you a few things. After that, I'll naturally leave. She looked at Lawyer Ding, who couldn't sit still and didn't seem to want to stay any longer. Lawyer Ding, don't be in a hurry to leave. After I finish those things, maybe Mr. Yi will need you. So don't be in a hurry to leave. What are you trying to say? Yi Nanshan's expression was ugly. The more he looked at this daughter, the more she looked like Lu Hui. She would only embarrass him and make him feel uncomfortable. Therefore, even though he knew that Yi Zhen had climbed up to Li Junsheng and that there was no benefit in offending Yi Zhen, he still couldn't get past him. Moreover, he had already offended Li Junsheng. Even if he wanted to curry favor with him now, it was too late. Therefore, Yi Nanshan's expression wasn't good. Yi Zhen turned around and looked at Li Junsheng. Li Junsheng handed the document bag to her. Yi Nanshan didn't understand and saw Yi Zhen hand the document to him. What is this? Chapter 8:12. Yi Zhen's expression was truly infuriating. Yi Nanshan stared at her face for a long time, then angrily took the documents. However, as he flipped through the pages, his expression became incomparably ugly. He grabbed the table and threw the documents in his hands onto the table. Why you're talking nonsense? Am I talking nonsense or are you blind? Yi Nanshan panted heavily. He pointed at Yi Zhen, not wanting to believe a single word she said. Mr. Yi, to be honest, I didn't want to tell you at first. I thought that you'd never know about this for the rest of your life. You'd treat someone else's son as your own, until he's completely grown up. When you're about to die of old age, then I'll tell you. That would definitely be a special sense of accomplishment. Unfortunately, I don't want to, because I don't want Chen Wan's son to benefit from it. I don't want my mother's hard-earned savings to benefit an outsider like this. Even if it's just for him to stay in this house. Even if it's just for him to enjoy everything in the Yi family. Even if it's only temporary. I don't want it. Yi Nanshan's face was pale. His hands were on the table, and his entire person was in a state of confusion. Yi Zhen had no intention of provoking him, but unfortunately, since Yi Nanshan had turned against her, there was not much left of the thin familial relationship between them. She didn't tell Yi Zhen that she was giving Yi Nanshan the wooden eyes out of kindness, but she had her own motives. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't change the truth. Jianhao really isn't your child, but you can still take him for a paternity test. Of course, I won't be as bored as you to secretly tamper with it. However, I believe that this report has given you a truthful enough answer. The report Yi Zhen was talking about was the paternity test between Yi Jianhao and brother Lin. She believed that Yi Nanshan had seen it. As for whether he believed it or not, it was up to him. The paternity test was sandwiched in the pile of documents. The document contained a lot of information. Chen Wan colluded with brother Lin, and Chen Wan hired someone to poison Lu Hui. Even Wang Chunhua's 2 children were killed by Chen Wan. You're talking nonsense. You're talking nonsense. Get out of here. Get out of here. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear it. Yi Nanshan's expression changed dramatically. He shook his head, his body trembling, unwilling to accept the truth. Yi Ningen had a sweet mouth and was good at making people happy. He liked this daughter. However, the one he valued the most was indeed Yi Jianhao. Ever since he was born, he had always treated Yi Jianhao as his successor and had been cultivating him. Who would have thought that this would be the result? Yi Zhen didn't leave. She stood there arrogantly. What? You can't accept it? Was he the one who caused all of this? Yi Nanshan was infuriated. He grabbed a pen holder from the table and was about to throw it at Yi Zhen. Li Junqing stepped forward, pulled Yi Zhen's hand, and led her to the side. The pen holder didn't manage to hit it. It was thrown against the wall and fell to the ground. Lawyer Ding didn't even know what was in the document, and his body involuntarily dodged to the side. He wanted to leave, but he couldn't. After all, Li Junsheng was still there. Yi Nanshan missed. He picked up the paperweight on the table and was about to throw it again. Li Junsheng quickly took 2 steps forward and grabbed his hand across the desk. Mr. Yi, if you can't accept these things, have you ever thought about whether or not Jinjin can accept it? Mr. Yi, you're angry now. If you want to flare up, you can flare up and get angry. Have you ever thought that Jinjin lost her mother at a young age? You married someone else after she lost her mother, and never gave her the slightest bit of love. When she finally grew up, you, her father, sued her. What kind of feeling did you have? Jinjin's mother was killed. She lived in the same room with her enemy for more than 10 years without knowing it. What Mr. Yi is experiencing now, Jinjin has already experienced. What right do you have to blame all of this on Jinjin? Who caused these things? Could it be Jinjin? She's just removing these hypocritical masks. She wants you to see clearly that the real source of all of this is you. It's you. What right do you have? What reason do you have to blame Jinjin? All these years, have you ever fulfilled your responsibilities as a father? Have you ever cared about Jinjin at all? Don't you think it's ugly for you to put on such an attitude now? Li Junsheng questioned him harshly, one sentence after another. The strength of his grip on Yi Nanshan's wrist made him loosen his hand. The paperweight fell and smashed back onto the table. Li Junsheng swung his hand at the right time and let go of his hand. He turned around and returned to Yi Zhen, protecting her by his side. Mr. Yi, Jinjin has never done anything wrong to you. It's you who has always let Jinjin down. Today, Jinjin is already considered a member of our Li family. If you want to make a move, please think about it. Yi Nanshan froze there motionless and didn't recover for a long time. He looked at the document on the table and suddenly felt as if all the strength in his body had been sucked away. Yi Zhen didn't have the slightest bit of sympathy. She snuggled up to Li Junsheng. Her mood was calm and unperturbed as she watched Yi Nanshan collapse. Lawyer Ding's back was soaked in sweat. He felt that he couldn't stay here for a minute, but he couldn't leave. Right now no one cared about his thoughts. Yi Nanshan hadn't recovered from such a huge shock. Yi Jianhao downstairs was obviously tired of playing. He stomped upstairs and went straight to the study. He was used to being a tyrant at home since he was young, and Yi Nanshan pampered him. He didn't even knock on the door when he entered the study, and directly rushed in. Dad, look, this is my Transformers. Yi Jianhao was 11 years old. He was almost 1.4 meters tall. He rushed in front of Yi Nanshan with the transformer in his hand. Dad, look! Yi Nanshan, who was always patient, didn't praise his son like before. Instead, he waved his hand and hit the transformer in Yi Jianhao's hand. This sudden change startled Yi Jianhao. He stood there in a daze. Before he could react, the angry Yi Nanshan raised his foot and kicked him. Yi Jianhao wasn't prepared. He was kicked back a few steps by Yi Nanshan and fell to the ground. Before he could cry, Yi Nanshan had already stepped forward again, intending to give him 2 more kicks. Yi Zhen reacted faster than him and stepped in front of Yi Nanshan. Yi Nanshan's kick missed, and his body almost fell forward. After he stabilized his body, he looked at Yi Zhen, not understanding what she meant. If Yi Zhen could, she didn't want to care about these trivial things. But no matter how bad Yi Jianhao was, he was still a child. Even if Chen Wan's teachings were a little crooked, even if Chen Wan taught him a little crooked, it wasn't a reason for Yi Nanshan to hit a child. Mr. Yi, now you want to kick him to death and go to jail with Chen Wan, right? I'm really happy for you. Yi Nanshan couldn't speak. He kept panting. The huge anger made his face turn red. Just now, when he saw Yi Jianhao, he really had the urge to kill him. He had spent a lot of effort on Yi Jianhao and had high hopes for him. Now, he wanted Yi Jianhao to die. Wah! Yi Jianhao cried. He got up and ran outside. Dad hit me. Dad hit me. I want to find Mom. Mom! Hearing this, Yi Nanshan wanted to explode again. Yi Zhen took a deep breath. She had seen enough of this pile of rubbish. Mr. Yi, if Chen Wan is convicted of murder, she will be in jail for at least 10 years. Yi Jinghan kidnapped me last night and wanted to kill me. Although I didn't die, she can't escape the charge of attempted murder. Chen Wan and Yi Jinghan are both in jail. They got the punishment they deserved. But what about your punishment? Yi Nanshan raised his head and looked at Yi Jin fiercely. Yi Jin ignored him and took Li Juanqing's hand and walked outside. The study quieted down. Lawyer Ding looked at Yi Nanshan's gloomy face and cleared his throat awkwardly. Boss Yi, it's nothing. I'll leave first. Yi Nanshan glanced at him coldly. He stood there and looked at Lawyer Ding. Tell me, what do I have to do to get rid of my father-son relationship with that bastard? Lawyer Ding had already guessed it after watching the show for a long time. But when he heard Yi Nanshan's words, he still sucked in a cold breath. Mr. Yi, are you sure? Of course, Yi Nanshan said coldly. I've raised someone else's son for so long. It's enough. Since he's not my son, then don't think about taking the position of the Yi family's young master. Lawyer Ding shrank his body. For the first time, he felt that Yi Nanshan was really ruthless. Speaking of which, he was also the child he had raised for more than 10 years. But he actually abandoned him just like that. Mr. Yi, if you don't want it, of course there's a way. Yi Jin wasn't interested in or concerned about what Yi Nanshan thought. She didn't even care if Yi Nanshan would obediently give up his shares. If Yi Nanshan decided to appeal in the end, she wouldn't be afraid. After getting rid of Chen Wan and Yi Jinghan, Yi Nanshan would know that Yi Jianhao wasn't his son. For her, that was enough. Outside the Yi family's door, the autumn sun outside was warm with a hint of warmth. She narrowed her eyes and suddenly turned around to hug Li Junsheng. Li Junsheng lowered his head to look at her. The little girl half closed her eyes and nestled in his chest. Uncle Li, I'm very happy. For so many years I've been holding it in. I've always thought that one day, I must make my father regret it, and teach Chen Wan and Yi Jinghan a lesson. Li Junqing gently patted her back. Yi Jin suddenly became serious. Uncle Li, do you really not think that I'm vicious? I don't. Yi Jin smiled. Finally, her face revealed a little shyness. Uncle Li, thank you. It's all because of you that I could do it so easily. Li Junqing rubbed her hair. You would have done it without me. I know, but it won't be so fast. Yi Jin wasn't so blindly confident that she didn't know her limits. Maybe it will take a long time. Maybe. She didn't finish her sentence. Maybe she would never find evidence of Chen Wan poisoning in her lifetime. She could only watch her get away with it. It won't. Li Junqing was an atheist, but he really couldn't bear to see her like this. The heavenly Tao is clear. There will always be retribution. Yi Jin didn't say anything. She thought about the scene when she went downstairs and saw Yi Jianhao crying for his mother. What do you think my dad will do to Yi Jianhao? She didn't regret what she had done, but Yi Jianhao was just a child after all. With Yi Nanshan's cold personality, Yi Jianhao wouldn't have a good life in the future. That's not something you should worry about. Raising a child wouldn't be a loss at all. However, Yi Nanshan definitely wouldn't let Yi Jianhao continue to stay in the Yi family. Yi Jin also guessed it. She sighed slightly, feeling a little uncomfortable. Don't think about it. Li Junqing held her hand and walked in the direction of the parking lot. There are some things that you and I can't control. Although I don't like him, he's just a child. My dad is a cold person, and he's not broad-minded. When I didn't know, it was naturally good. Chen Wan called me today and said that she wanted to see me. I refused. It's right not to see her. It's useless to see her. You don't have to see her. Everything she has done will be dealt with by the public prosecution. The public prosecution will find a lawyer for her. What happens next will be decided. Yi Jin nodded with sarcasm in her eyes. She probably doesn't know that Yi Ningen is also locked up, right? She probably knows. Li Junqing scooped a bowl of soup and placed it in front of her. If she didn't know that Yi Ningen was locked up, I don't think she would have said that she wanted to see you. Does she think that I will still help her after what she has done? I think she might want you to let Yi Ningen go on account that she is your sister. Impossible. Yi Jin wasn't a saint. No matter how kind she was, she wouldn't forgive someone who wanted to kill her. If I hadn't been vigilant that day, if you hadn't come quickly, I might have died in her hands. I won't let Yi Ningen go. Seeing that Li Junqing didn't say anything, she smiled at him. However, I don't plan to deal with her. After all, she has already been punished, and it is about to be a punishment that she can't face. Li Junqing's expression didn't relax. Instead, he said something else. By the way, you should be careful recently. Zhao Li can't leave your side at all times. There's no need, right? They're all arrested. Besides, my dad can't take my life now. Yi Nanshan was already in such a state, and he still had time to deal with her? It's not your dad. Li Junqing told her what he knew. His little girl had never been a timid person. She actually dared to counterattack Yi Ningen at such a dangerous time. It's Chen Liang. Chen Liang. Yi Zhen remembered who this person was. What happened to him? He was also involved in the kidnapping of you. But now we've caught Brother Lin and his men. But Chen Liang ran away. Yi Zhen nodded in understanding. This Chen Liang is quite sincere to Yi Ningen. Seeing that Yi Ningen was captured, I'm afraid he will think of a way to take revenge. Yes. Isn't that perfect? Yi Zhen immediately thought of a solution. I'll use this time to lure Chen Liang out. And then, don't even think about it. Li Junqing glared at Yi Zhen, and a sharp look flashed across his eyes. Let me tell you, don't even think about using yourself as bait. I don't want to do what happened last time again. I know. Yi Zhen felt that he was really paranoid. Don't worry, I'll take good care of myself. It's not just you. I don't want to do what happened last time again. It's good that you know. Li Junqing glanced at her. Don't worry about Chen Liang. Leave it to me. I'll get them to arrest him as soon as possible. Yi Zhen was just saying it casually. With Li Junqing around, she had nothing to worry about. The time for the trial passed quickly. During this time, Chen Wan made a few requests to see her, but she ignored them. Chapter 813. Chen Wan was charged with murder, and she was prosecuted by the public prosecution. The lawyer was also invited by the public prosecution. Of course, Chen Wan also found a lawyer. Yi Zhen had waited so long for this day. She wanted to personally see Chen Wan receive the punishment she deserved. Chen Wan saw Yi Zhen as soon as she entered the courtroom. She looked at Yi Zhen with a venomous gaze. Yi Zhen ignored him. Soon, Yi Nanshan also arrived. In less than half a month, Yi Nanshan looked more haggard and thinner. He looked in Chen Wan's direction as soon as he entered. Yi Nanshan was looking at Chen Wan the same way Chen Wan had looked at Yi Zhen earlier. Yi Zhen sat to the side, his eyes full of mockery. Li Junqing squeezed her palm. She turned her face and smiled at him. She wasn't angry. She didn't even have a trace of emotion. She was only here to wait for a result. The trial was not open to the public because it involved Yi Nanshan's privacy. In the audience, only Yi Zhen, Li Junqing, Lu Manjiang, and Lu Zhishuan could be seen, as well as Yi Nanshan and Lawyer Ding. Of course, Yi Nanshan did not come to save Chen Wan out of the goodness of his heart. He had come here today to achieve his own goal. Yi Zhen knew, and so did Li Junqing. No one knew how ruthless Yi Nanshan would be. The trial began, and the evidence provided by the public prosecution was very complete. Li Junqing provided evidence for everything Chen Wan had done. How did Chen Wan get in touch with Wang Chenhua? How did she get Wang Chenhua to poison her? Of course, this part had taken too long. Chen Wan didn't admit it herself, so she could only get an answer from the examination of Lu Hui. Lu Hui's death was already Chen Wan's doing, although the evidence was not sufficient. After all, Wang Chenhua did not know what kind of poison Chen Wan had given her. However, the deaths of Wang Chenhua's two children were definitely related to Chen Wan. Ever since Wang Chenhua, who had been locked up, found out that her children were harmed by Chen Wan, she had completely collapsed. He lost control of his emotions in court. He was in a state of madness. Without any hesitation, he accused Chen Wan of harming others. All the evidence was given to the court, but that was not the final result. Because Yi Nanshan still wanted to step on him. At least in Yi Nanshan's eyes, Chen Wan had cheated the marriage. If Yi Jianhao had not been born, why would Yi Nanshan have married Chen Wan? Now he didn't want that innocent child Yi Jianhao. Yi Nanshan demanded compensation from Chen Wan. He wanted her to divorce him and return all the property he had given her. Chen Wan was originally able to remain calm in court. But when she heard Yi Nanshan's request, she laughed exaggeratedly. Ha 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 ha. Marriage fraud. I cheated marriage? If I didn't cheat you into marrying me, would you have married me? Yi Nanshan, don't make yourself sound so noble. You said that I cheated the marriage, but aren't you the same? There was madness in her eyes, a kind of paranoia that wanted to drag everyone into hell. Why don't you think about it? You are my boyfriend. But what did you do? You married Lu Hui. You married that woman. You said that you were only doing this for expediency. You said that you were doing this for Lu Hui's family background and character. You said that I cheated the marriage, didn't you? Chen Wan's words made Lu Manjiang and Lu Zhishuan's expressions change. No matter how cold-blooded Yi Nanshan was, he still wanted to save face. Caught off guard by Chen Wan's accusation, his face turned green. But Chen Wan refused to let him go. She was already in hell, and there was no way for her to make a comeback. Then Yi Nanshan, this hypocrite, would not be able to escape punishment. After you married Lu Hui, didn't you still keep seeing me? You keep saying that I cheated the marriage, but what about you? How much better are you than me? Yi Nanshan, don't make yourself sound so innocent and pitiful. I'm just copying you. Why can you do it but I can't? You. Yi Nanshan's face turned green. Chen Wan still felt that it was not enough. The longer you are with Lu Hui, the more you don't want a divorce. You know Lu Hui's ability and means. You know that she still has a lot of value. So you treated me more and more perfunctorily. You even made me move away from my original place to that commoner's area, so that Lu Hui wouldn't be suspicious. Yi Nanshan, if it wasn't for your ruthlessness, why would I betray you? Yi Nanshan almost fainted from anger. He almost couldn't control his impulses. He rushed up and wanted to strangle Chen Wan. But he was caught by Lawyer Ding. Quiet. The court looked at the agitated Chen Wan and motioned for her to calm down. But Chen Wan had already thrown everything aside. Yes, Yi Nanshan, I admit all the mistakes I've done and the retribution I have to bear. But you? Do you think you can get away with it? Shut up, you shut up. Yi Nanshan's expression was very ugly. Beside him, Lu Manjiang and Lu Zhishuan glared at him. Not only them, but the other people in the court also looked at him with mixed feelings. Chen Wan was right. If Chen Wan was not innocent, then how could Yi Nanshan be innocent? This farce finally came to an end. Chen Wan was convicted of murder and sentenced to 20 years in prison. As for her cheating the marriage, she had to be sentenced separately. That was not a criminal case, so it was not today's topic. Chen Wan got the retribution she deserved. For Yi Zhen, this matter was considered to have come to an end. Coming out of the court, Lu Manjiang and Lu Zhishuan glared at Yi Nanshan. They wanted to skin him alive and grind his bones to dust. Yi Nanshan knew that he had been ruined by Chen Wan's words before, so he left dejectedly with Lawyer Ding. He didn't even look at Yi Zhen. Lu Zhishuan wanted to chase after them, but Yi Zhen stopped him. She looked at Yi Nanshan's retreating figure, then at her grandfather and uncle. Grandfather, uncle, he has already received his retribution. I believe he won't have a good life for the rest of his life. Don't waste our energy and emotions on such a person. It's not worth it. Yi Nanshan had raised a son for someone else for more than 10 years. Coupled with Chen Wan's betrayal, he would not be able to accept such a thing. What would happen to Yi Nanshan was not Yi Zhen's concern. Anyway, she would get those shares back sooner or later. Although Lu Manjiang and Lu Zhishuan were angry, Lu Hui was gone. And the truth had already come to pass. Even if they were really angry and caught Yi Nanshan and beat him up, it would not change anything. They both knew that there was no point in talking. Now, as Yi Zhen said, Yi Nanshan received his retribution. After that, it was Yi Jinghan and Brother Lin's verdict. Yi Jinghan attempted murder. She was convicted and sentenced to 9 years in prison. Other than kidnapping Yi Zhen, Brother Lin had other cases on his hands. This time, he had people find out who he was guilty of. He was sentenced to 15 years. All the people who had hurt her mother, had gotten what they deserved. For Yi Zhen, this was the best news. After that, Yi Nanshan filed an appeal and dissolved his marriage with Chen Wan. This was a problem for Yi Jianhao. As Yi Jianhao's biological parents, Brother Lin and Chun Wan were supposed to be his guardians. But now both of them were in prison. Yi Jianhao was only 11 years old and needed a guardian. If Yi Nanshan didn't want to raise him, he could only go to an orphanage. This was not a good thing for the child. The court tried to mediate, but failed to change Yi Nanshan's mind. He insisted on sending the child to an orphanage. But later, for some reason, Yi Nanshan suddenly changed his mind and agreed to continue to be Yi Jianhao's guardian. When Yi Zhen heard the news, she was very surprised. How is that possible? She looked at Li Junxing in disbelief. With Yi Nanshan's personality, it's enough to raise someone else's son for 11 years. Why would he continue raising him? Li Junxing's expression was slightly cold. From a man's point of view, he could roughly guess. I think your father wants to torture your cheap brother, right? That's impossible, right? Yi Zhen didn't believe it. No matter what, she had raised the child by her side and doted on him for 11 years. Even if he wasn't her biological son, she still had feelings for him. How could? It's very possible. Yi Nanshan looked at Yi Zhen. She was pure by nature. Even though Yi Nanshan had treated her like that, she still had a trace of hope for him. But in reality, a person like Yi Nanshan only loved himself from beginning to end. He could betray the world, but the world could not betray him. Chapter 8:14. The child was sent to the hospital. But Yi Zhen didn't really call the police. After hiring an auntie to take care of Yi Jianhao, she returned home. When Li Junxing returned home, he found her sitting on the sofa in a daze again. He had already heard about Yi Jianhao. He changed his shoes and entered the door. He walked behind her and sat down, pulling her into his arms. Are you still thinking about your cheap brother? Yi Zhen wasn't surprised that he knew. She turned around and looked at him with a helpless expression. Uncle Li, do you think I'm too soft-hearted? My Zhen is just kind. Li Junxing kissed her forehead, pulled her hand, and wrapped it gently in his palm. So be it. He can't do anything anyway. Yi Zhen shook her head. She wasn't worried about this. Yi Nanshan is almost half crazy now. I'm thinking that he definitely won't treat Yi Jianhao well in the future. That was for sure. She knew it, and so did Li Junxing. You don't want to adopt him, do you? How is that possible? Yi Zhen shook her head. I've been thinking about it. I think it's better to send Yi Jianhao to the orphanage. What do you think of this matter? Okay. Li Junxing nodded. Are you sure your dad will agree? Yi Zhen wasn't sure, but she said, if there's an equal exchange, I think my dad will agree. What do you mean? Give my dad 5% of the shares in exchange for him letting go of Yi Jianhao. Good idea. Don't you think you're at a disadvantage? I don't think so. Yi Zhen blinked. At this moment, she looked extremely mischievous. You know, now, Yi Ningen and Chun Wan are in prison. So what if I ask him to leave 10% of the shares? Without the mother and daughter by his side, he still has some ability. And I believe that after what my dad has experienced, it's impossible for him to find another woman to marry and have children in a short period of time. Li Junxing smiled faintly. Yi Zhen stuck out her tongue. You didn't expect it, did you? One day, I'll have such a plan too. However, I think it's only right for someone like my dad. Indeed. It was enough to give someone like Yi Nanshan some face. Li Junxing held her hand tightly and kissed her on the lips. The matter at home has been resolved. When will you consider my matter? What's the matter? Next month is my birthday. After my birthday, I will be 34 years old. I don't know when Chairman Yi plans to give me a title. Turn me straight. Or is Chairman Yi willing to condescend to be the mayor's wife? No sincerity. Yi Zhen blinked and looked elsewhere. She didn't look at Li Junxing. If I still agree to marry you after proposing like this, wouldn't I be letting you off too easily? Then tell me, what do I have to do for you to marry me? Let me think. Even if he didn't propose 100 times, he could at least propose 8 or 10 times. If it moves me, I might agree to it. Yi Zhen's raised eyebrows were full of smiles. After all, I am young, beautiful and rich. Uncle Li, do you have one? You civil servants are very poor. It's really a waste for me to marry you. Li Junxing almost laughed out loud. Looking at her serious expression, he pulled her body into his arms. Yes, it's us civil servants who are really poor. So when I met a big sugar daddy like you, I have to hurry up and tie you down. I won't let you run away." Yijin couldn't help but laugh. She wrapped her arms around Li Juanxing's neck. "Seeing that you are so pitiful, I'll reluctantly consider it." "Naughty." Li Juanxing lowered his head to kiss her. As he kissed, he lost control. For a moment, the living room was extremely charming. Yijin did what she thought of. The next day, she went straight to Yi Nanshan. According to the agreement, if Yi Nanshan didn't appeal, then Yi Nanshan could only keep his 5% shares. However, if Yi Jun could, she really didn't want to face Yi Nanshan. "Dad, send Yi Jianhao to the orphanage." "Why?" He hadn't vented his anger yet. Yi Jun sighed in her heart. She really didn't understand why the person in front of her was her father. "Don't you have any responsibility for how things have developed to this point?" "I don't want to say any more. Just based on your kick yesterday, I have every reason to call the police and say that you are a child abuser. But I don't want to do that. I believe that you are also willing to save some face for yourself." Home page. Yi Nanshan was even angrier when he heard this. "What face? The Yi family's face has long been lost because of you. Did I lose it, or did you lose it?" Yijin didn't want to talk to him anymore. She handed the agreement she had drafted yesterday to Yi Nanshan. "Buy Yi Jianhao's custody for 5% of the shares. Send him to the orphanage." "Shares?" Yi Nanshan sneered. "The company's shares are mine to begin with. Moreover, you only left me 10%. Do you think I will agree? You can disagree." Yi Zhen stood up and realized that she really had nothing to say to Yi Nanshan. Her last trace of emotion was gone. From now on, she and Yi Nanshan would be strangers. "Mr. Yi, you can agree to let Yi Jianhao go. After all, he is a child that you have raised for more than 10 years. You can also disagree and continue to take Yi Jianhao home and take revenge on him. That is your choice. You have already made too many mistakes in this life. I really hope that you won't make more mistakes. All the sins were caused by you. It was because of your greed. What right do you think you have to treat Yi Jianhao like this? The person who should be punished is you." "That's all I have to say." "You know what I have to say?" After leaving the Yi family, Yi Zhen breathed a sigh of relief. There were some problems, some things. She could only do her best. As for the outcome, it wasn't something she could guarantee. Yi Nanshan's character was so bad. It was up to him how he chose. She tried her best. She had a clear conscience. Yi Zhen began to busy herself with work. The company was updated, and her relationship with Li Junshin gradually stabilized. She was full and happy. Time passed by a week. She didn't know what Yi Nanshan thought, but he finally gave up custody of Yi Jianhao. Yi Jianhao was sent to the orphanage. Yi Zhen breathed a sigh of relief. This was considered a result. In the end, Yi Nanshan didn't do as Yi Zhen said, and asked for the 10% shares. According to the previous agreement, he transferred all the shares under his name to Yi Zhen. The process was so smooth that Yi Zhen thought that Yi Nanshan was possessed. Yi Zhen didn't care what Yi Nanshan thought. Anyway, she still left 5% of the shares for Yi Nanshan. Coupled with his previous assets, he wouldn't be living badly. In the blink of an eye, it was Christmas. Yi Zhen didn't feel much about this kind of foreign festival in the past. But this year, she was with Li Junsheng. Li Junsheng happened to be on leave. Li Junsheng brought her back to Rong City. It took about 2 hours to get from Qing City to Rong City. When the car was still half an hour away from the Li family's residence, Yi Zhen was shocked by the street scene outside the window. The tall buildings on both sides were now all LED electronic screens. And the electronic screens were all projections of fireworks. They drove very slowly all the way. Yi Zhen looked at the LED screens and felt that they were especially beautiful. "Wow, so beautiful." "Is it beautiful?" Li Junxing asked someone to stop the car by the side of the road. He held her hand and got out of the car and walked to the river. This place was separated from the high-rise buildings across the river by a river. On the building across the river, the LED screen kept changing colors and shapes of fireworks. "It's so beautiful." It wasn't that she hadn't seen this kind of light show before, but with so many high-rise buildings on the same screen, this was really the first time. But very quickly, The fireworks on the screen were replaced by blooming roses. After the roses bloomed, there was a huge diamond ring. She thought that it was an advertisement from a jewelry company and was engrossed in watching it. Unexpectedly, the diamond ring disappeared and turned into a string of words. Getting to know you is an accident. Falling in love with you is a surprise. Being with you is a blessing. Wanting to spend the rest of my life with you is my wish. Waking up every morning to see your sweet smile is my blessing. Words of love flashed across the screen one after another. Yi Zhen was stunned. Which jewelry company's advertisement? It was really too creative. It wasn't just her. Many people around her stopped and looked at the screens opposite. I will always love you, treat you well, and always keep you in my heart. The rest of my life is long, and I only want to be with you. Zhenjin, I love you. Marry me. Zhenjin, marry me. Yi Zhen was stunned for a moment. She turned around and found that Li Junsheng, who was standing beside her, had a bouquet of roses in his hand. He knelt down on one knee in front of her and handed the huge bouquet of roses in his hand to Yi Zhen. Zhenjin, I love you. I want to marry you. Please marry me, okay? Yi Zhen covered her mouth. She couldn't believe that she would receive such a surprise. She felt her eyes moisten, and tears wanted to flow out uncontrollably. Uncle Li, believe me, I will always treat you well, always protect you and always love you. Please marry me. At this time, there were already many people surrounding them. Everyone looked at the handsome man and beautiful woman in front of them. Such an extremely eye-catching combination, and such a romantic proposal. The people around them all shouted together, "Marry him, marry him, marry him." Yi Zhen couldn't say anything, and could only nod passively. She took it from Li Junsheng's hand. I promise you. Li Junsheng smiled. He took out a diamond ring from somewhere, and put it on Yi Zhen's hand. He lowered his head and kissed her lips. There was a burst of applause around them. Li Junsheng had always kept a low profile. Such a high-profile proposal touched Yi Zhen. She hugged him tightly as he kissed her. Uncle Li, I love you too. I know. Uncle Li. Yes? The rest of my life is long. Please advise me. Yes, the rest of my life is long. I'm willing to spend it with you. Compared to the hustle and bustle of the proposal, in the shadows of a bar on the other side of the river, a young man looked at the dozen or so people surrounding him with a mocking smile in his eyes. You sent so many people to deal with me? I'm really flattered. Cut the crap. Brothers, attack. The young man took off his coat and raised his almond-shaped eyes. His eyes were extremely sharp as he walked forward alone. His eyes were filled with ruthlessness. Chapter 8:15. Su Peizhen walked out of the house, feeling a little annoyed. It had been a few months since she was released from prison. Her life was quite regular. At the company at home. When she was in prison, Xiang Kaiping was still managing the company at her age. As she grew older, she gradually lost her ability. When she was young, she had a lot of chronic diseases. Even though she was the same age as Li Qianxue and Su Chenghui, she gave people the feeling that she was more than 10 years older. Every time she saw Xiang Kaiping's old age, compared to Li Qianxue's young state, it always made people feel uncomfortable. That wasn't the reason why Su Peizhen was annoyed. She was annoyed by Xiang Kaiping's attitude. Every time Xiang Kaiping looked at her with guilty eyes, she felt great pressure. She never thought that there was anything wrong with her. After experiencing great ups and downs in life, she didn't care about some things anymore. In fact, if Xiang Kaiping wasn't here, she might have left Rong City. The world was so big, and with her ability she could live anywhere. But Xiang Kaiping was here, and Xiang Kaiping felt guilty. She thought that she was the culprit who caused all the tragedy that Su Peizhen had experienced, so she couldn't forgive herself. She used to be a little energetic, but since Su Peizhen went to prison, she looked more and more experienced. Su Peizhen didn't know how to comfort her. First, they hadn't been together since they were young. Second, her comfort didn't work. Some things could only be solved by oneself. She got into the car, and the night wind blew, bringing waves of cold. Rong City's climate was something she was used to living in the south, so she didn't like it. But those days in prison, there was nothing unbearable. Closing the car door, Su Peizhen didn't know where to go. It was very lively on both sides, and there were many young couples. They were holding roses in their hands, or holding gifts. She suddenly remembered that today was Christmas. Today was originally her birthday. Today was the birthday on her ID card. But on this day, after more than 20 years, she realized that her birthday was never today, but tomorrow. She never changed the date. The car made a turn and headed for the bar. She wouldn't drink at home. Whenever she drank, Xiang Kaiping would worry again, which was also something she couldn't stand. Li Qianxue's management of children was indulgent. She believed in the children she taught. To a large extent, they have their own freedom. For example, she had never cared about Su Yusen's puppy love. When she was in school, she would travel alone, and Li Qianxue wouldn't interfere. However, Xiang Kaiping was different. She was always worried and afraid. It was as if he was treating her like a porcelain doll. Although it was familial love, Su Peijian felt a lot of pressure. Ever since she was released from prison, she realized that her heart seemed to have turned cold. She knew that Xiang Kaiping really cared about her and treated her well. However, she truly felt that Xiang Kaiping's concern was a burden. She was no longer a child. She did not need that kind of care, especially the kind of concern that was mixed with guilt, self-blame, pity and pity. Who was she? She was Su Peijian. She was once the eldest daughter of the Su family. The prideful her had always been high and mighty. Even if he was down and out, his pride was still in his bones. She did not need sympathy, did not need pity. Annoyed, she walked into the bar and ordered a margarita. She knew how much she could drink, and she always had a sense of propriety outside. She wouldn't get drunk. He couldn't get drunk either. He casually drank a few glasses. When she was slightly tipsy, she got up and left the bar. She parked her car in the alley behind the bar and took her bag to the place where she parked her car. The alley was dark, and Su Peijian was a little drunk again. As she walked forward, she was not paying attention and tripped over something in front of her. Seeing that she was about to fall, she held on to the wall beside her in time. After stabilizing herself, she finally saw clearly what had tripped her. A person. It should be a man. He was lying there motionless. Under the dim light, and the man lying on his stomach, she could not see his face. However, it did not affect her movements. Perhaps it was because of the alcohol, or perhaps something else. She lifted her high-heeled foot and kicked the man's body. Move! The man who was kicked by her did not move. Su Peijian narrowed her eyes and raised her foot to kick him again. Get lost. A good dog doesn't block the way. She did not know where she kicked, but the man lying on his stomach let out a very short, muffled groan. Su Peijian knew that there were many bars in this area, and there were many drunkards. Normally, she wouldn't even spare a glance at someone who was drunk and lying on the road. The other party just lay there blocking the way. However, the alley was narrow at this time, so she could either step over the man's body, or wait for the man to get up. She impatiently wanted to kick him a third time, but unexpectedly, her ankle was grabbed by someone. Su Peijian wanted to pull her foot back, but the man grabbed her foot and pulled hard. She was wearing high-heeled shoes, and was pulled off balance by him. She fell straight down. Even though she tried her best to control herself, and reached out with both hands, she still fell on the man's body. Ugh! Her chin hit the man's head, and Su Peijian was in great pain. If she hadn't supported herself with both hands on the ground, she would have landed face first. However, this still caused her hand to rub, and it was a little hot. She was already drunk, and now that she hit the man, her anger rose. She had learned the invisibility spell, so without thinking, she raised her elbow and hit the man's chest. Ugh! This time, the muffled groan came from the man. At the same time, she quickly got up. Seeing the man, she raised her foot and kicked him again. This time, the kick landed on the man's chest. The muffled groan sounded again. Su Peijian didn't have the slightest sympathy. After seeing the man's body curl into a ball, she walked past him, and was about to leave. Who knew that the person didn't seem to give up. He grabbed her ankle again, and this time, he used even more force. Su Peijian, who was prepared, held on to the wall to stabilize herself. She didn't fall, but she couldn't leave. At this time, the man's body had already turned around. There was a car passing by in the distance, and the light from the car shone in, and the man's face could be seen clearly at this moment. A face stained with blood, and a pair of narrow and spirited phoenix eyes. At this time, the man's hand was tightly holding his ankle. "You want to run after kicking someone?" The man's voice was obviously a little weak, and he spoke in a low voice. Su Peijian's reaction was to try to pull her foot back and kick the man again. The man seemed to have exhausted his strength. His hand holding her was already starting to loosen. Su Peijian was sure that if she kicked him again, the man would definitely faint. However, before she could kick him again, the man seemed to see through her. "Tisk black." "What black?" Su Peijian was stunned for a moment before she reacted. What did the man mean? She was wearing a woolen A-line skirt today, because she came out of the heating room, and because she wanted to go back immediately, she didn't wear silk stockings. Damn this man. Su Peijian became more and more angry. Before the man's hand let go, she sat down like this without thinking. She sat straight on the man's chest. If she remembered correctly, when she used her elbow to hit the man's chest just now, he seemed to be in pain. Ugh! An even more tragic groan sounded. The hand holding her ankle loosened as expected. Su Peijian stood up. After she steadied herself, she looked at the man coldly. She turned around and left without looking back. The man on the ground was in extreme pain as he watched the woman's figure leave. There was only one thought in his mind. Chapter 8:16. Su Peijian's face was cold as she looked at the man lying on the bed in her apartment. The screen of the phone in her palm was lit up, and she could call the police with just a press of her fingertips. However, her fingertips didn't move for a long time. She just glanced at the man again. Her jaw was still hurting, and the place where she had hit seemed to be bruised. She rubbed her jaw and looked at her body again. The fact that she was stained with the man's blood made her very unhappy. She put away her phone, stood up, and walked to the side of the bed. The man was lying flat on the bed, covered in blood. Not only on his body, but also on his face. His facial features were stained with blood, and she couldn't see his face clearly. She only remembered that when the car lights flashed just now, the man's pair of bright almond-shaped eyes. He looked very monstrous. Su Peijian wouldn't do something like serving people. Regardless of whether it was Christmas or not, she called her usual hourly helper and asked her to come over. This apartment was very close to Xiang Saiping's department store. If she sometimes went to work late, she would come here to sleep. In fact, she had lived here for a long time in the past few months, but it was really because of Xiang Saiping's guilty eyes and pitiful attitude that made her feel very uncomfortable in that house. She might as well avoid it as possible. She knew in her heart that her attitude was letting Xiang Saiping down, but there were some things that she couldn't control. On this point, she did miss Li Qianxue a little. With Li Qianxue's personality, no matter what her children did, her pride and principles would not let her sympathize with anyone. The hourly helper, Xiao Zhao, lived very close to this place and arrived very quickly. When she arrived, Su Peijian had just taken a shower. Her long hair was slightly wet, and she was wearing a bathrobe. Xiao Zhao had worked as a helper in many families, but there weren't many who looked as beautiful as Su Peijian. As a woman, she felt that the scene in front of her was a little too much. Su Peijian didn't seem to notice Xiao Zhao's gaze. She looked in the direction of the bed. "Clean him up and help me change the sheets on the bed." Xiao Zhao was from another place. She came from the countryside, and she was very honest. Without asking much, she directly started to change the clothes of the man on the bed. The blood on the man's body looked terrifying, and Xiao Zhao suppressed her fear and cleaned him up. However, "Miss Su, this person is injured. It seems to be very serious." As Xiao Zhao spoke, he added, "He's still bleeding." Su Peijian, who had been reading some documents, stood up when she heard Su Qingsong's words. Most of the bloodstains on the man on the bed had been cleaned up, so it was obvious that there was a cut on his chest. She knew that the man was injured, but she didn't expect it to be so serious. If he was not sent to the hospital, he might really die. "Miss Su." Xiao Zhao's voice brought her back to reality. "There's a medicine box outside. You can do whatever you want." "Miss Su." Xiao Zhao's eyes widened in horror. This person is so badly injured. Do we really not need to send him to the hospital? No need. Su Peijian's voice was very cold. I think he's very lucky. He won't die. Xiao Zhao helplessly went to get the medicine box. He wanted to ask this man what kind of relationship he had with Su Peijian, but seeing Su Peijian's cold attitude, she didn't dare to ask. As a housekeeper, little Zhao had learned how to treat and bandage simple wounds. He brought the medical kit and helped the man treat his wounds. Finally, he wiped all the blood on the man's body. Except for his pants, he took off everything else. Fortunately, he discovered that the only injury was the stab wound on his chest. She didn't know how it happened. The knife was not very deep, but why was there so much blood on the man's body? After she was finally done, Xiao Zhao finally had time to look at the man's face. Hey, this gentleman is so handsome. Su Peijian was reading the documents and didn't seem to hear her. Xiao Zhao felt that she had said something wrong. She planned to leave after cleaning up. I will pay you double your salary this month. Don't tell my mother about what happened today. When she walked to the door, she heard Su Peijian's voice. She was still reading the documents, as if she didn't care about what was happening around her. Xiao Zhao responded and left. After she left, Su Peijian put the documents aside. This hourly helper was hired by Xiang Kaiping for her. When she lived here, Xiao Zhao would come over to help clean and cook. She didn't want her to talk nonsense in front of Xiang Kaiping. Very handsome. Su Peijian looked in the direction of the bed. The man's eyes were closed, and his face was a little pale because of the excessive blood loss. Although his eyes were closed, she could still remember the look on his face when he opened his eyes in the alley. Handsome? She could barely see it. After all, there was never a lack of handsome men around her. This was a two-bedroom apartment. One was her master bedroom, and the other was the study. There was a bed in the study, which was prepared for Xiang Kaiping. She was afraid that she would come over occasionally. However, Xiang Kaiping seemed to know that she was not used to her being too close, so she rarely came to the apartment. Su Peijian placed the man on the bed in the study. This was also the reason why she had to deal with the documents here. Tomorrow was her birthday, and she didn't plan to enter the company, because Xiang Kaiping would definitely celebrate with her. Today, she would deal with the documents that she could. Closing the documents, Su Peijian felt inexplicably annoyed. She hadn't celebrated her birthday for 2 years. In her opinion, it was a joke. Shaking off those bad feelings, Su Peijian put away the documents and closed the notebook. She got up and left the room. As for the man on the bed, he was lucky to be alive. If he really died here, she wouldn't be afraid. Ling Jing woke up to a faintly discernible aroma of food. The wound on his chest reminded him of what happened last night. That group of people actually couldn't wait to make a move on him. When he got up, the pain in his chest made his expression change. He didn't expect that person to betray him. It didn't feel good to be betrayed by someone he trusted. Ling Jing clenched his fists and waited for the pain to pass. Using the time to relieve the pain, he opened his eyes and looked at his current environment. It wasn't a small room. It looked like a study. He lowered his head. He wasn't wearing any clothes. His upper body was bare, and he could see that his wound had been treated. The wound was bandaged in a slightly ugly way. He put his hand on his chest. He closed his eyes, thinking that if he lay down for a while, the aroma of food would be more obvious. He couldn't control his body's reaction. He realized that he was hungry. He got up and couldn't find his clothes. He probably couldn't wear them anymore. Fortunately, the other party left him a pair of pants. Just like that, he left the study and walked outside. In the kitchen, it was dyed with a layer of gold by the morning light. An extremely beautiful figure was inside, leisurely and at ease. December 26th, Su Peijian's birthday. She was in the kitchen, making breakfast for herself. She wouldn't have done it before. After going to prison, she learned some simple cooking. The easiest thing was to make sandwiches. She put the bread in the toaster and heated a glass of milk for herself in the microwave. She used to like coffee, but after going to prison, she liked to drink milk. Simple, pure, and healthy. The sandwiches weren't complicated, and she worked quickly. After she was done, she cut the sandwiches. She put them on a plate and took out the milk. The moment she turned around, she saw the man leaning against the kitchen door. The man was only wearing a pair of black boxer shorts, but his leisurely attitude made it seem like he was wearing a suit to attend a dinner party. Su Peijian met the man's beautiful and narrow almond-shaped eyes. She expressionlessly walked past him with the milk and went straight to the dining table outside. When she passed by Ling Jing, she didn't stop. She put the sandwiches and milk on the table, pulled out a chair and sat down. Even though she was only wearing a bathrobe, her movements were still elegant. She picked up the milk and took a sip. She looked up at the man in front of her. She tilted her head slightly. "If you're done, get out. The door is over there." Ling Jing stared at her face for a while, then walked to the dining table and put his hand on the edge of the table. "Did you save me yesterday?" "No." As soon as she finished speaking, the door opened and closed with a bang. After she left, Ling Jing propped himself up. However, looking at the blood oozing out of his chest, her eyes were no longer pretending to be stupid. She was really a ruthless woman. Holding the position of her heart, Ling Jing raised her wrist and pressed a few times on her watch. Not long after, someone came over. "Young master." When the person saw the wound on Ling Jing's body, his eyes widened. "I looked for young master all night yesterday." "Young master, who hurt you? Should we go back to the house now?" "No need." Ling Jing's wound was actually very painful. The wound had just been casually bandaged to stop the bleeding. "Help me deal with the wound. Then you can leave." "But no buts." Ling Jing half closed his eyes. "After I deal with it, I won't go back to the house for the time being. You go back first." "Young master." "Those people obviously want me to die. Pretend that I am still not here, and continue to look for me. After a few days, those people will naturally be unable to hold back. I want to see how many rats there are in the house." "Yes." The person stopped talking and began to deal with Ling Jing's wound. "Young master, the wound is a little deep. I'm afraid it won't work without stitching. But there is no anesthesia here." He had come in a hurry and was afraid of arousing suspicion, so he forgot to bring anesthesia. "It's okay." Ling Jing gritted her teeth and endured the pain. "Just stitch it like this." "Yes." Ling Jing lay there with his eyes closed, enduring the pain of the stitching. His mind was thinking of the red figure that floated away. A woman's heart was really the most vicious. Su Peijian went directly back to the villa where she lived with Xiang Kaiping. This villa was really small according to the scale of the Su family in the past. However, there were only the two of them now, so it was suitable. When she entered the door, Xiang Kaiping's eyes lit up when she saw her. "I was thinking of going to buy vegetables, and you came back. Have you had breakfast?" "No." "Then, I'll go make it for you." Xiang Kaiping went in the direction of the kitchen. Su Peijian's lips moved. "Didn't you say that you cooked noodles for me this morning? I'll just eat noodles. It's not tasty after a long time. I'll make you another portion." Su Peijian couldn't stop Xiang Kaiping and watched her go to the kitchen. She rubbed her forehead with a headache. After a few months out of prison, she still hadn't found the right way to get along with Xiang Kaiping. The noodles were soon cooked. Xiang Kaiping brought them out and put them on the table. "I made the longevity noodles early in the morning according to the method of Lin City. Try it." "Okay." Su Peijian sat down at the table and met Xiang Kaiping's expectant eyes. In the end, she couldn't bear it. "Thank you, Mom." "Silly child, why are you thanking me?" Xiang Kaiping's face brightened up again because of her thanks. The feeling of powerlessness came over her. Su Peijian could only bury her head in the noodles. The taste was good. It was indeed cooked according to the habits of the people of Lin City. She used to be very picky. She didn't eat a lot of things. Li Qianxue used to dote on her the most. As long as she frowned, she would change the chef for her. She used to think that she would never be able to suffer in this life. However, after nearly 2 years in prison, she realized that there was nothing that she couldn't eat. Xiang Kaiping looked at Su Peijian sitting opposite her. Her heart was faint and slightly aching. She still remembered Su Peijian's appearance in the past. Looking at her now as a mother, she could only feel sorry for her. "Peijian, it's your birthday today. Let's go out and play. Look, the weather is good. It's not snowing either." "Okay." Su Peijian put down the bowl and didn't object. Mom, let Nanny Zhang do the cooking next time. You can just make a call, and someone will come to your door to buy groceries. It's okay. I can take this opportunity to walk around. Xiang Kaiping hadn't gone out with Su Peijian since she came back. Where are we going today? Shall we go hiking? I think the weather is good. Or do you have any places you want to go? Su Peijian was very tired of her overly careful attitude. She couldn't say more. Let's go hiking. We can eat outside when we come back. There's no need to cook. Huh? Okay. Xiang Kaiping was a little disappointed. She wanted to do more for her daughter, but she realized that nothing she did seemed right. Her expression gave Su Peijian a headache. Mom, we are mother and daughter. We don't care about these things. It's good enough to eat outside. Okay. Okay. Xiang Kaiping nodded. There was a trace of emotion in her eyes. She was about to say something when the nanny, Xiaoyi, came in with a package in her hand. Sister Su, this is your package. Mine. Su Peijian looked at the package and reached out to take it. She couldn't remember if she had ever bought it online. She opened it and found that it was a jewelry box. Su Peijian had a hunch and opened the box. Inside was a set of pink diamond jewelry. There were 2 pink diamonds on the butterfly wings. They weren't very big, but the style was fresh, very suitable for young women. Her phone rang. Su Peijian picked it up. It was Su Qinghui. Peijian, happy birthday. Su Qinghui had put in a lot of effort to get Su Peijian out of prison earlier. This was Su Peijian's first birthday after she was released from prison. He had wanted to come to Rong City by himself. However, Li Qianxue had been feeling a little uncomfortable these days. So whether it was Su Qingsong's birthday or Su Peijian's birthday, he didn't come. Thank you, Dad. As soon as Su Peijian said this, she felt that Xiang Kaiping was looking at her strangely. She suppressed the helplessness in her heart. Whether Su Qinghui was a different child or not, no matter what he had done in the past, he had truly loved her for more than 20 years. Because of this, Su Peijian would never not recognize Su Qinghui. Break out of the cocoon and become a butterfly reborn. Peijian, this gift is the most sincere gift I have. I hope that your future will be bright and smooth. Thank you, Dad. Su Peijian would be lying if she said that she wasn't touched. I like this gift very much. Although she didn't think that she needed a new life, this was Su Qinghui's gift. As long as you like it. Qianxue has a cold these days, so I don't have time to come over. I'll go to Rong City to see you in a few days. Okay. Su Peijian didn't refuse. Su Qinghui's concern had been like this since she was released from prison, neither too far nor too close. This degree was just right, and it wouldn't make her feel uncomfortable. When she heard that Li Qianxue had a cold, she wanted to ask. However, she glanced at Xiang Kaiping and didn't ask in the end. She hung up the phone and found that Xiang Kaiping was looking at her with a look of hesitation. Chapter 8:17. Xiang Kaiping looked at her, then at the box. In the end, he shook his head and said nothing. Su Peijian realized that Xiang Kaiping probably didn't want her to accept Su Qinghui's gift. She asked Xiaoyi to help her put the things upstairs. As expected, Xiang Kaiping's complexion improved a lot. There was even a hint of a smile in her eyes. I have a gift for you too. Peijian, come with me. Su Peijian followed Xiang Kaiping upstairs and entered her room. Su Peijian found that Xiang Kaiping had given her a knitted sweater and a scarf for her birthday. Thank you, Mom. It looks great. I've been a lot clumsier lately. It probably wouldn't be as exquisite as the ones outside. Xiang Kaiping could not continue. It was not that she did not have money. However, she felt that giving jewelry and accessories was too tacky. She calculated Su Peijian's birthday and knitted a sweater for her. She remembered that she had done the same thing for Su Peijian. She was afraid that Su Peijian would think the gift was too little, so she knitted a scarf. However, she didn't expect that Su Qinghui would give her such a generous gift. Mom, what are you talking about? It was a light khaki sweater with fine stitches and a novel design. More importantly, it was a thought. I like it very much. Thanks, Mom. Really? Of course it's true. She seemed to be afraid that Xiang Kaiping wouldn't believe her. I'll go get changed now. No need, no need. There's a heater in this room. Xiang Kaiping smiled again. This time, it was a comfortable smile. Su Peijian also breathed a sigh of relief. Mom, let's go out. All right. Su Peijian brought Xiang Kaiping out of the house. There were many places in Rong City that she had never visited before. Back then, he thought that he had come to Rong City to deal with Su Qingsang. He didn't expect to get himself killed. When he passed through the city center and waited for the red light, he happened to see the huge LED screen in the square playing the Tianyu Group's advertisement. Hua Jinyao sat there and talked about the future development plan of Tianyu Group. I heard that President Hua is married and has a child? How does President Hua balance work and family time? For example, when there's a conflict between working hours and family needs, how would you choose? There is no need for balance or choice. My family is the most important thing in my heart. Both my wife and my 2 children are the most precious things in my heart. They will always come first. Of course, I also believe in my own abilities. He believed in all the employees of Tianyu Group. I believe that we can lead the heaven domain to new glory. The honking from behind made Su Peijian retract her gaze and step on the accelerator. Xiang Kaiping, who was sitting next to her, saw it too. She looked at Su Peijian with a complicated expression. Peijian, I'm fine. Su Peijian's expression was extremely calm. Mom, don't worry too much. Seeing that I haven't made a sound for a few months after taking over, you're starting to go back to your old ways, right? President Su. Manager Wang wanted to say more, but Su Peijian didn't want to listen anymore. Don't call me. Go to the finance department to get your salary for this month. You're fired. President Su. Manager Wang looked shocked. I used to be President Xiang. Don't mention my mother. I'll say it again. My mother is my mother. And I am me. You guys are here now, and I'll say it here. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, leave. Since I'm in charge here now, you have to follow my rules. If you don't want to, you can all leave. The other managers present didn't say anything. Manager Wang had hoped that others would speak up for him. But at this stage, no one dared to talk to him. He could only walk out dejectedly. After he left, Su Peijian took out another document. In the past 2 years, I didn't say that we would expand our company. After all, my mother is old. Her energy is limited. However, the turnover of the 2 stores has been declining for 2 years. And it has been declining. In the past few months, I've seen some problems clearly. I've prepared a plan here. She took out the document and looked at Zhou Mei, the secretary beside her. Send this out. Zhou Mei stood up and handed the document to everyone. If you want to increase turnover, you have to make some changes. Online shopping, home delivery, improving the quality of service, improving the after-sales service. These are the inevitable trends of the current development. In the past, my mother didn't understand the internet. In this aspect, she was very lacking. From today onwards, I will change this situation. I have already contacted a few online business platforms. When the time comes, online and offline, we will unify the price, unify the delivery, and optimize the service. I hope you understand. In this era, either you keep up with the trend of the times, or you will be eliminated by the times. If you don't want to be eliminated, you have to change. If you only rely on your relationship with my mother in the past, you want to eat and wait for death. All of you can leave. I'll say it again. I don't keep idle people here. After Su Peijian's outburst, she returned to her office. She felt inexplicably unhappy. Before, she didn't care about these 2 department stores. With her ability, such a small company was really only enough for her to practice. Before she went to prison, she had a plan. She didn't know that after she went to prison, Xiang Kaiping was not in the mood for business at all. If it weren't for her good foundation, she would have closed down long ago. Now that the company was like this, she really wanted to drive these old guys home. But she couldn't go home and blame Xiang Kaiping. Seriously, in terms of business, what she did now was indeed the limit. After all, Xiang Kaiping was not Li Qinxue. She was not brought up by old Master Li and educated since she was a child. She had watched the past few months coldly. Now was the time for a big reform. She didn't do anything before. because Xiang Kaiping was afraid that she wouldn't be used to it and would visit from time to time. Now that Xiang Kaiping was gradually relieved and handed over the power to her, she could have no scruples. After Su Peijian finished all this, she received a call from Xiang Kaiping when she was about to get off work. It turned out that manager Wang was so shameless that he ran to Xiang Kaiping to complain. Su Peijian, who was in a good mood after going out with Xiang Kaiping yesterday, was in no mood at all. "Mom, if you trust me, don't interfere with my decisions. If you don't, then you can take these 2 department stores back. I promise I won't say anything." With her ability, even if she went out to start her own business, she would only live a better life and gain more than she did now. "Peijian, that's not what I meant. I mean, Manager Wang is also an old man. He took advantage of his seniority to fill his own pockets. That's even more unforgivable. Mom, I know you're soft-hearted, but it depends on the situation." Su Peijian was anxious, and her tone unconsciously became a little more urgent. She felt that her attitude was not right, so she stopped talking. "All right, Mom, don't worry about the company. Just stay at home and take care of the flowers. I have an appointment with someone from the online business platform for dinner tonight, so I won't be back for dinner." After hanging up, Su Peijian had a headache. She didn't know who Xiang Kaiping's soft-hearted problem was, but she treated everyone like this. Looking at her previous style of doing things, she was a little harsh. After she was released from prison, she didn't know what Xiang Kaiping was thinking, but she actually thought that she was the one who caused the trouble. She thought about atoning for her sins every day. There was nothing wrong with being kind to her subordinates, but she couldn't tolerate being kind to them to the point of indulgence. However, she wasn't taking the opportunity to lose her temper. She did have an appointment with someone from the online business platform for dinner that night. The place for dinner was not far from Rome Garden, where she lived. After having dinner with the representative of the other party, she set up the cooperation between the 2 department stores and the online business platform. Once the contract was signed, the company would enter a new era. Su Peijian said goodbye to the other party. She wanted to go home, but thinking of Xiang Kaiping, she was afraid that she would miss her. She turned the steering wheel back to Rome Garden. Before she was sent to prison, she was sentenced to 3 million yuan for Tianyu Group. After she was released, Su Qinghui had offered to give her some of his shares to make it up to her. She didn't take it. Before coming to Rome City, she had some other businesses under her name, which added up to about 70 to 80 million yuan. This amount of money would not be enough for the Su family in the past. However, now it was the capital that she wanted to go further. She had already thought about what she wanted to invest in, and she had been working on it for the past few months. She was very confident in herself. This confidence stemmed from the Su family's nurturing of her, as well as her innate business vision. She didn't care about money now. She had been in a place like prison. With her current savings and businesses, she could live a good life. However, life was too long, and it was too boring for her at the moment. Having lost her rival, she had nothing to do. She could only find something to keep herself busy. Before entering the house, she made a phone call and asked someone to send some fruits and ingredients up. She pressed her fingerprint and opened the door. The light inside made Su Peijian narrow her eyes. She seemed to suddenly remember that when she left, the injured man didn't seem to have left. When she closed the door, she didn't see him. Su Peijian's lips were pressed into a straight line. She gently put down her bag, changed her shoes, and entered the house. She walked to the kitchen and took the biggest kitchen knife that she had never used before. It was used for chopping meat. There was no one in the study, and no one in her room. Yes, she had locked the door before she left. She could vaguely hear the sound of water in the bathroom. Su Peijian walked to the bathroom with the kitchen knife. Ling Jing was taking a shower. He only had a wound on his chest. If he avoided this wound, he could still bathe other parts of his body. The sound of water covered the sound of Su Peijian entering the door. When he pulled the bath towel on the side and wrapped it around his waist, a kitchen knife was pressed against his chest. Ling Jing was stunned and looked at the person who had come. "Beauty, you're back?" The surprise only lasted for a moment. In the blink of an eye, Ling Jing changed into a relaxed look. Su Peijian ignored the smile on the man's face. She pressed the kitchen knife forward. I think I said to ask you to leave here. Beauty, I want to leave too. Ling Jing spread her hands and turned a blind eye to the kitchen knife that was pressed against the wound on her chest. But how do I leave? I have no clothes, and I have no money. It's such a cold day. Do you want me to run outside naked like this? I'll die. That's your business, not mine. The kitchen knife in Su Peijian's hand had already touched the bandage on the man's chest. Are you leaving or not? If you don't leave, I don't mind stabbing you again. Stabbing me again. Ling Jing glanced at the kitchen knife. Oh beauty, murder is against the law. You're so beautiful. You don't want to go to prison, do you? Really? Then I'm sorry to disappoint you. After all, before this, he had also been a vegetarian for a long time. Just as his hand was about to move to Su Peijian's waist and lock her body to go further. At this moment, Su Peijian quickly withdrew her hand and raised her head. On the surface, she seemed to cater to him, but she stretched out her fist and hit the man's chest directly. Uffed! Su Peijian's action was beyond Ling Jing's expectations. He couldn't avoid Su Peijian's hand at all. The wound on his chest was hit by her heavy punch, and he took a few steps back. He covered his chest with his hand and looked at the woman in front of him with a face full of shock. Su Peijian's expression was gloomy, and there was no trace of emotion on her face. Woman, do you have to be so ruthless? I've already warned you. Su Peijian gave him a cold look, turned around, and walked to the place where the kitchen knife had fallen. The man's throw just now had smashed a hole in the tile. She picked up the kitchen knife and looked at the wound on Ling Jing's chest. It seemed to have split open because she could see the blood seeping out. It could be seen how heavy her punch just now was. Before Ling Jing could get up, she pointed the tip of the knife at him again. If you don't get lost, I really don't mind stabbing you again. Ling Jing had never met a woman like this. He thought that his family background and appearance were both good. Ever since he understood the relationship between men and women, which woman didn't try to squeeze in front of him one after another? Even if he didn't look at his family background, just his figure and appearance were enough to make those women fall for him. Su Peijian was really the first one who didn't give him face like this. His interest was hooked, and Ling Jing calmed down instead. He looked at the coldness in Su Peijian's eyes and wanted to continue forward, but after taking a step, his legs suddenly gave way, and he fell directly in front of Su Peijian. His fall was too fast, and Su Peijian didn't see it. He applied some more force to his wound. This time, there was more blood flowing, and it looked even more frightening. He fell down just like that, and then closed his eyes. The man fainted, and the wound opened again. Su Peijian naturally couldn't let the man get lost again. She closed her eyes, and had the urge to throw the man out just like that, and let him freeze to death outside. Her phone rang at that moment. Mom. Peijian? You're not off work yet? I'm off work. Didn't I tell you that I'm eating out with someone? Oh. Yes, you just said that. Are you coming back today? No need. The place where I eat now is very close to Rhone Garden. I'll stay here today. As Su Peijian spoke, she walked to the man on the ground. The man's body was already bleeding all over the ground. She kicked the man, but he didn't respond. Okay, then take good care of yourself. I'll ask Xiao Zhao to come over tomorrow morning and cook for you? No need. Chapter 8:18. Ling Jing's wound really hurt at first. He didn't expect the woman to kick him when she answered the phone. He almost couldn't pretend anymore. He wanted to get up and teach the woman a lesson. However, the woman put the kitchen knife aside after hanging up the phone. After looking at Ling Jing's face for a long time, she finally made her move. After a long time, she finally got him on the bed. Su Peijian looked at the blood on her body, and a flash of disgust appeared in her eyes again. Looking at the blood and water stains on the other party, she decided to ask Xiao Zhao to throw the bedsheet away tomorrow. However, that was all she was willing to do. If you can make it through, consider yourself lucky. If you bleed too much and die, it's your bad luck. Then don't blame me. After saying this, Su Peijian went straight to the shower. She had wasted too much of her energy dealing with work and socializing with others today. After the shower, she didn't even look at Ling Jing and went straight to her room to sleep. Naturally, she didn't know that after she fell asleep, Ling Jing quietly snuck into Su Peijian's room. She was sleeping defenseless, but he had the urge to strangle this woman to death. Damn it! Damned woman! If I don't take revenge for today, I'll definitely die. If I don't take revenge today, I won't let you submit to me in the future. My surname isn't Ling. Ling Jing didn't know who would submit to whom in the future. It was really a problem. Life in prison was very regular. Every morning, she had to get up at the same time. The time of waking up and eating were fixed. In the past 2 years, Su Peijian had developed an excellent routine. She got up at 6 in the morning and went to bed at 10 at night. She didn't need to turn on the alarm clock. Her biological clock hit 6, and she woke up on time. When she got up, she had automatically forgotten her decision yesterday and the man in the study. She went to the kitchen to make breakfast for herself. She had asked someone to send the ingredients over yesterday. Su Peijian planned to make herself a fruit salad, toast, and a glass of milk. She was very relaxed. She stretched her limbs and went to the kitchen. This was the time when she was the most relaxed. It didn't take more than 20 minutes to prepare breakfast. Her knife skills were very poor, but after practicing for a long time, she had peeled some fruit. At least it wouldn't be like the beginning, with different sizes. Back in the Su family, when had she ever made a move on him? Every time she moved her mouth, someone would prepare it for her and deliver it to her. But one day, when she really had to do these things herself, she realized that it was actually a little fun. After breakfast, Su Peijian placed the plates in the kitchen sink. Xiao Zhao would come over later, and she would clean it up. She went back to her room and changed her clothes. She asked Xiao Zhao to take care of the man and call the doctor if there was a problem. It was useless to call her. She was not a doctor. As for whether the man was dead or alive, and how long he could last, it would depend on his luck. Su Peijian said this and went to do her own things. The department store needed to be improved, and the company had a lot of things to do. She made an appointment with the people from the e-commerce platform, signed the contract, and cleaned up the company's internal affairs. She had been very busy these days. In addition, because of Manager Wang a few days ago, she had to go home to accompany Xiang Kaiping and worry about her feelings. After cleaning up the company, she accompanied Xiang Kaiping for the new year. It had been more than a week since she picked up the man. On the last day of the New Year's holiday, Su Peijian finally remembered that the man she had decided to keep was still at her house. When Xiao Zhao first took care of the man, he would call her and tell her about the situation. Later, she became busy and did not have the patience to listen to him anymore. So she let Xiao Zhao make the decision himself. She gave Xiao Zhao double his salary and told him to just do his work and not to worry about anything else. After informing Xiang Kaiping, Su Peijian went to Rong Garden. She had not been back for a few days. Before going upstairs, she asked someone to bring back fruits and food as usual. When she entered the door, Xiao Zhao was about to leave. Seeing her come in, he glanced at the study. Miss Su, Mr. Ling has woken up. Also, his wound is almost healed. I just cooked for him. I got it. Miss Su, have you eaten? Yes, I have. There's nothing for you to do here. You can leave now. Xiao Zhao left, but the man did not come out. Su Peijian looked at the time. It was 7:30 p.m. Entering the study, she saw the man sitting in front of her desk. Her laptop was open. The speaker was turned on, and it sounded a little noisy. She frowned, stepped forward, and walked to the desk. Who allowed you to touch my computer? The man opened the game interface. Hearing the gunshots, Su Peijian's head hurt. You didn't say that I wasn't allowed. The man kept moving his hands, as if he was having fun. He was still naked, and his chest was wrapped in gauze. I remember that my laptop has a password. Su Peijian crossed her arms in front of her chest. Password of this level? Ling Jing sneered and looked at Su Peijian sympathetically. Are you kidding me? Su Peijian felt a little pain in the back of her teeth. Fortunately, she usually used the laptop at home, to deal with some unimportant business matters. Moreover, she had bought a new laptop after she was released from prison, and there was not even a photo in it. Resisting the urge to beat the man up, she stared at his face for a while. After a few days, a lot of stubble had grown on his chin. She didn't have a shaving tool for the man here. The man's hair was still a little messy, and he looked a little sloppy. Su Peijian couldn't help but frown. I don't seem to be short of water here. Is there a shortage of water? But I'm a patient. Ling Jing stopped playing the game and pointed to his chest. Miss, do you still remember the punch you gave me that day? His wound had been stitched up, but it was split open by her punch. He had been sick for a few days. Although he was sick these days, he knew that the woman had not come back even once. Not only did she not come back, but when Xiao Zhao, who was helping outside, called her and told her about his situation, the woman didn't even listen. Not only did she not come back, but when Xiao Zhao, who was helping outside, called her and told her about his situation, this woman did not even listen. If he really died, this woman probably wouldn't have any psychological burden at all. If he really died, this woman probably wouldn't have any psychological burden at all. This woman was really cruel. She was really not like a normal person. It wasn't easy for him to feel better today. But this woman came back at this time. He closed the game page and stood up with his hand on his chest. Beauty, your punch made me sick for so many days. Tell me, how are you going to compensate me? Su Peijian picked up the knife on the desk and directly pressed it against his chest. Either I stab you again, or you go take a shower and clean yourself up. What if I don't choose either? Su Peijian pressed the knife a little deeper into his bandage. You will choose. You know I can do it. You won't. If you really wanted to kill me, you wouldn't have saved me. I didn't save you. Su Peijian's voice was very cold. Even if I saved you, I can go back on my word and kill you. Woman, have you always been like this moody? Su Peijian held the knife, and the sharp tip had already cut the first layer of Ling Jing's bandage. She was expressionless, but there was a hidden killing intent in her eyes. Ling Jing had lived for so many years, but it was the first time he had met such a woman. The interest in his eyes became more and more obvious. Ignoring the knife against his chest, he moved forward a little. Beauty, you're not going to do bad things to me by asking me to take a shower, are you? Su Peijian's reaction was to put away the knife in her hand, walk to the desk and sit down. She didn't answer him, and Ling Jing felt bored. But the desire to conquer her appeared in his eyes again. This woman, he really wanted to see what she would look like under him one day. Su Peijian watched the man obediently take a shower. She closed the game page, opened the document, and typed quickly on the keyboard. In less than 20 minutes, a contract was completed. She printed out the contract and took the 2 contracts out of the study. When she left the study, Ling Jing had already taken a shower. Su Peijian sat down on the sofa and gave him a look, signaling him to come over. Ling Jing's hair was still dripping with water, and the bandage had been removed by him. The slightly hideous scar on his chest was exposed. The scar did not damage the man's aura. The slightly wet hair, the strong chest, and the long scar. The whole person gave people the feeling that there was a bit of evil in the evilness, and there was a bit of danger in the arrogance. Seeing the man like this, Su Peijian's slightly gloomy face eased a little. The appearance was not bad, but she didn't know if it was good to look at. However, just because of this face, there was no harm in keeping it. Ling Jing noticed that she was staring at him, and he put on an extremely light smile. What? Do you suddenly realize that my charm is boundless? Are you falling in love with me? Su Peijian ignored his words. Sit. Ling Jing sat down and found that there were a few more chairs on the coffee table in the living room, and Su Peijian's voice was in his ears. My name is Su Peijian. What's your name? Ling Jing touched his chin and looked at Su Peijian's face. What? Beauty, do you really fall in love with me? Name. Su Peijian's eyes were slightly cold, and she stared straight at him. Ling Jing. Ling is in ambition, and Jing is in beauty. When Ling Jing said these 2 words, he didn't forget to see Su Peijian's reaction. One had to know that in Rong City, there were not many people with the surname Ling. Su Peijian didn't care which 2 words it was. And she didn't have any special feelings about this name. She didn't even care whether this name was real or fake. She pushed the document in front of Ling Jing. She motioned for him to take a look. Ling Jing picked up the document, and his attitude changed when he saw the words on the document clearly. There weren't many documents, only one page. The content of the two papers was the same. Party A and Party B were clearly written. Only the signature at the back was missing. You. Ling Jing stared at the woman in front of him with his eyes wide open. You want to support me? The huge anger made his tone different from his usual calm. But when he said the word support, there was a bit of hostility. Su Peijian didn't seem to notice. It's not hard to guess, is it? Woman. You. He was the dignified young master of the Ling family, a genius with an IQ of more than 220, who graduated from Harvard at the age of 18. How could this woman think of him as a gigolo? Where did her courage and confidence come from? How dare she say that she wanted to support him? Su Peijian didn't have time to listen to him. She was the most direct person. She didn't like to repeat things that could be said in one sentence. You can also think of this as a kind of employment relationship. You can think of this as a job. The difference is that you only need to serve me. Ling Jing was so angry that he almost laughed. He tightened his grip on the paper, and blue veins appeared on the back of his hand. Then I wonder, what kind of conditions do you plan to support me with, Miss Su? And how long do you plan to support me? How long? Su Peijian didn't think of this. She had been too bored recently. She wasn't sure if she would still be interested in the man in front of her after this boring period. As for the conditions, she really didn't know what the conditions in Rong City were like. Thinking of the secrets she had heard when she was in Lin City, she gave a condition that she felt was relatively generous. 6 months temporarily. You can stay by my side for 6 months. 6 months. 2 million. 2 million? If Ling Jing's anger at this time had a physical body, he would probably have been burned by that fire. He, the dignified young master of the Ling family, had hundreds of millions of assets under his name. Now there was a woman who said that she would support him for 6 months with 2 million? He stared at Su Peijian with wide eyes. Good, very good. Damn woman. You've successfully pissed me off. 2 million for 6 months. If he didn't teach this woman a lesson, he didn't need to be the young master of the Ling family. 2 million? I only need to accompany you for 6 months? Only 2 million? To put it bluntly, 2 million for 6 months. For 6 months, your time is mine. Of course his body was also. Actually, Su Peijian wasn't sure how long this relationship would last, but to her, 6 months should be enough. Ling Jing nodded with a smile, and there was a flash of murderous intent in his eyes. You're so generous. Generous? Su Peijian didn't care about this small amount of money. After thinking about it, she added another condition. As long as you think it's suitable. However, there are a few conditions on it that I have to tell you again. Our temporary employment relationship is for 6 months. During these 6 months, you are not allowed to have other women. You will live here for these 6 months. I may not come often, but I want to see you every time I come. The murderous intent in Ling Jing's eyes didn't fade. He looked at Su Peijian with anger and smiled. So, you mean that I can only wait here for you for these 6 months? You can think of it that way. Su Peijian did mean that. But you don't have to worry. I don't have time to come here all the time. You can do what you like during the day. Of course, except for women. If she stayed here all the time and didn't go back to the villa to accompany Xiang Kaiping, she was afraid that Xiang Kaiping's heart would be even more fragile. As for not letting him find another woman, she didn't think it was too much. Since he had signed the contract, he naturally had to be loyal. Moreover, she was a neat freak. She wouldn't accept a man who had a relationship with another woman when he had a relationship with her. Chapter 819. The living room was very quiet. After she avoided it, Ling Jing put his hand on her chin again. One of them was sitting, and the other was standing. He was half bent over. Staring at the beautiful face in front of him. She was beautiful, but she was a vicious woman. His extremely beautiful almond-shaped eyes stared at her eyes. If it were any other woman, she would definitely scream and throw herself into his arms. However, Su Peijian was not an ordinary woman. She calmly put her hand on the wound on Ling Jing's chest. Let me remind you. The doctor told you to avoid strenuous exercise. You can skip it today. The main thing was that she was not ready to have sex with a man who was a complete stranger. Do you think I can't do it? Ling Jing narrowed his eyes. The most intolerable thing for a man was to be questioned by others. Do you want to say that you can do it now? The hideous scar was right in front of her. She retracted her finger, changed it to a palm, and pressed it easily. Ling Jing was in pain, but he stubbornly did not step back. I can still bear this kind of pain. Really? Su Peijian increased her strength. It seemed that his wound was not yet at the point where the stitches could be removed. Even if it could, it would still hurt now. She sneered and increased the strength of her hand. Ling Jing was in pain, and his body uncontrollably took a step back. You can bear it, but I can't. Su Peijian glanced at the scar on his chest, and her eyes were filled with disgust that Ling Jing could not bear. It looks too ugly. It doesn't suit my taste. The air suddenly became silent at this moment. Ling Jing looked at Su Peijian in disbelief. Said that he was ugly? No, even if it was just that his scar was too ugly, he could not bear it. A man with a scar looked more sexy and masculine. This woman was simply too much. He came to his senses and reached out to Su Peijian. At this moment he, who had lost all reason, planned to teach this woman a lesson. However, Su Peijian was not in the mood today. She had already gone to her room. Ling Jing stood in the living room, only feeling a fire rushing to his head. He had 1,000 reasons to cut that damn woman into 1,000 pieces. However, the more angry he was, the calmer he became. Staring at the closed door, Ling Jing nodded her head vigorously. Woman, if I don't teach you a lesson, my surname isn't Ling. Raising his hand to look at the watch on his wrist, he issued a command. Help me investigate a woman. The more detailed, the better. When Ling Jing got up in the morning, Su Peijian was already up. She was cooking breakfast in the kitchen. Salad, sandwiches, milk. He found the woman's breakfast to be rather lackluster. Hearing the footsteps behind her, Su Peijian did not stop what she was doing. The only difference was that she also kindly made one for Ling Jing today. Chapter 820. Hearing this, Ling Jing's face darkened. What kind of explanation was that? Also, why did he have to explain this to this woman? Really? That's good. Keep it up. Su Peijian shook off his hand and went back to her room to change. Ling Jing was embarrassed and angry. Damn this woman. Good, very good. He resisted the urge to pull that woman over and kiss her. He looked at the figure of the other party's back and suppressed his anger. Woman. Don't let him know her weakness, otherwise soon after Su Peijian left, Xiao Zhao brought clothes over. Xiao Zhao not only came to deliver clothes, but also to cook for Ling Jing. However, after putting on the clothes, Ling Jing said that he was going out, and asked Xiao Zhao to go back first. Soon after Xiao Zhao left, someone came to the door again. Gu Xiu looked at Ling Jing, and really didn't understand why he didn't go home. Young master, your injury is almost healed. When will you go back to the house to take charge? Who said I'm going back? Ling Jing stared at the person in front of him. Didn't I ask you to see who is playing tricks in the house? You tell me, what have you observed these past few days? Young master. These days, the old master was not feeling well. He called the fourth and fifth young masters. After observing them, there seemed to be nothing unusual. The third and second young masters were not at home these days. I don't know what they were busy with. The first young master cared about you a little, but because you were not at home, he sent more people to look for you outside. Every time he mentioned you in front of the old master, he was also worried. The fourth and fifth young masters would agree. You mean, you have been observing for a week, and you haven't found anything? I am incompetent. It is really that the young master is missing. I don't look for him outside. I keep an eye on the young masters every day. I am afraid they will be suspicious. Forget it. Ling Jing waved his hand. He knew that whether it was a group of little foxes or an old fox, it didn't matter. If it was so easy to give himself away, he wouldn't have stayed here. The woman I asked you to investigate yesterday, have you checked? What woman? Wuxia looked puzzled. Of course, the owner of this house. Su-Peijian. I want all the information about her, the more detailed the better. I will go right away. Wuxia turned to leave, but Ling Jing suddenly stopped him. Wait. Young master, what else? Here. Ling Jing handed the card that Su-Peijian had given him to Wuxia. Buy me a car, and send me some clothes according to my usual preferences. I want all of them. Also, I want all of my daily necessities according to my usual habits. Until you spend all the money in this card. Didn't that woman want him to be a gigolo? He would take it as a show for her. He wanted to see what kind of expression that woman would have when she found out that he had spent 1,000,000 yuan in one day. Young master, if you want to drive, I can just drive it over from the garage. After Wuxia said this, he saw Ling Jing's cold eyes. He shrunk his neck and said, It's this subordinate's thoughtlessness. If I had driven my house's car, I would have been discovered by others. It was even young master's blessing. Please forgive me, young master. This subordinate will do it right away. All right, enough with the nonsense. Hurry up and finish it. Also, I want to see all the information on that woman before tomorrow. Yes. When Su-Peijian applied for a credit card, the bank had automatically activated a reminder function for her. She didn't expect that there would be more than a dozen text messages on her phone when she came back from a meeting. Look at the spending records displayed on it. From the car, to the clothes, and even to the daily necessities. Su-Peijian's schedule for the day was very full. During the day, in addition to company business, she also arranged to have dinner with several manufacturers. Even when she was on the road, she could hear the text message notification. Sure enough, in the evening, the card had been maxed out. Su-Peijian looked at the text message before getting out of the car. She didn't feel very angry, but she just felt that she had not read it wrong. A gangster suddenly had a large amount of wealth. Not only would he not think about saving it, but he would also spend it. This kind of person was a typical nouveau riche mentality after excessive scarcity. This was also good. After all, a man like this who had desires and was easy to control made people feel safer and more at ease. After socializing with the clients, Su-Peijian, who was about to go home, thought about it and decided to continue to roam garden. That little gangster could actually spend more than 1,000,000 yuan in a day. It was also amazing. When the car drove into the underground parking lot, she saw a new Cadillac next to it. Su-Peijian glanced at the car and went straight upstairs. There was no one in the living room, no one in the study. Su-Peijian narrowed her eyes. That little gangster couldn't have spent all her 1,000,000 yuan and run away just like that. Could he? Just as she was thinking about whether to call the police to find that little gangster, she heard movement in her room. Su-Peijian's expression changed. To her, her room was her private territory. She didn't like others stepping into it. She put her bag aside and quickly entered the room. As expected, the room was brightly lit, and the sound of water came from the bathroom. She entered the bathroom with a cold face. In the jacuzzi that she had customized, that little gangster was soaking in it with a satisfied look on his face. The water just reached the bottom of his chest, just avoiding the scar. His chest was strong, which was the opposite of his appearance. However, Su-Peijian was not in the mood to appreciate it. Looking at the little gangster's face, her voice was quite gloomy. This is my room. I don't think I gave you permission to come in. You didn't say that I couldn't. Ling Jing took a deep breath, as if he was enjoying the comfort of the jacuzzi. Who asked you to have a bathtub in this room? You're really self-aware. Did I say that you could use this bathroom? Su-Peijian felt offended. She was wondering if she should disinfect the entire bathtub with 84 disinfectant. Darling, you're not cute like this. Ling Jing stood up boldly, not minding his current naked state at all. No matter what, we're going to be one in the future. I'm just using your bathtub. It shouldn't be a big crime, right? Su-Peijian acted as if she didn't see his figure. She only stared at his face with extreme calmness. It seems that some parts of yesterday's contract weren't written clearly. It's necessary for me to set new rules with you. Rules? Ling Jing lowered his head and glanced at himself. His body proportion could be said to be perfect, but this woman actually didn't feel it at all. Time and time again, he had provoked him, and time again, he had added injuries on top of his injuries. What? Did she think this would make him back down? Yours truly was not someone who would admit defeat easily. Not only did he not loosen his grip, but he also tightened his grip around Su Peijian's waist. His other hand pressed against the back of her neck, deepening the kiss. He used all his skills to make Su Peijian submit to him. However, he was stimulated by her sweetness, and became more and more serious as he kissed her. The pain in his chest became an indirect stimulus. His anger rose, and now he just wanted to tear this woman apart and devour her. Su Peijian originally wanted Ling Jing to let go of her. However, she didn't expect Ling Jing to not be afraid of pain even after she used so much force. Was the wound really healed? She didn't know which kind it was. The other party's kiss was domineering and flamboyant, completely different from the previous Hu Yifan. All along, in the relationship between her and Hu Yifan, she had been the dominant one. Now with her pride, how could she bear it? This man was the dominant one in this relationship with her? His kissing skills were not bad, but so what? Su Peijian was kissed by him. Her body, which had been empty for more than 2 years, really had a desire at this time. She put her hand on his chest up, and directly hooked it around his neck. She turned from guest to host. She didn't have much experience, and it all came from her previous relationship. However, with her looks, figure and innate intelligence, she was much more perceptive than the average person when it came to such matters. It wasn't just Ling Jing's forced kiss. It was her counterattack. She was the home court of this relationship, and she had the final say. She hooked her arms around his neck, and her other hand wasn't idle either. She couldn't touch the wound, but she could always touch other places. Ling Jing didn't expect that he would have a reaction to a woman's kiss. His eyes were a little red. He, who had never admitted defeat, was breathing rapidly at this moment. He wished he could do this woman on the spot. Su Peijian noticed his change and sneered. It was a kind of arrogance that was in control of everything. With a force of her hand, she stepped back as he let out a low cry. She approached him again, tiptoed, and pressed her forehead against his. "Do you want it?" This line had always been said by Ling Jing to those women in the past. She never thought that one day, a woman would say such words to her. "You. Make me comfortable or get lost." Even at this time, Su Peijian stayed calm and rational. Ling Jing's face turned green. He gritted his teeth, endured the pain in his chest, and picked up Su Peijian, and went outside. This was a war without gunpowder. He wanted her to succumb to his charm, and she wanted him to understand his situation. He used force, and she used force even more. He used more force, and she was crazier than him. It was like a rock that was constantly being washed by the waves. The waves wanted to smash the rock, but the rock blocked the waves. Back and forth, over and over again. Ling Jing couldn't tell how many scratches and bite marks he had on his body. The harder she scratched and the more painful it was, the crazier he became. Su Peijian was exhausted. In the end, she propped herself up and went to the bathroom to take a shower. When she returned to the bed, she didn't even take off the sheets and fell asleep. After a whole night of pleasure, Su Peijian almost couldn't get up the next morning. The moment she opened her eyes, she realized that the quality of her sleep last night was particularly good. She slept very soundly, and didn't even dream for half a minute. The ancients said that yin and yang were in harmony, which made some sense. He stretched his body. When Su Peijian got out of bed, she realized that her feet were a little weak. She frowned slightly, and turned to look at Ling Jing on the bed. Not bad, he looked thin, but his figure was not bad. He was obviously injured, but his ability was quite strong. Keeping this person alive was worth the 2 million yuan. After stretching her limbs, she went to the kitchen to make breakfast for herself. She also made one for Ling Jing. As if thinking of some unspeakable scenes, She also specially added 2 eggs to Ling Jing's sandwich. Of course, this wasn't because of feelings, but because she felt comfortable last night and was in a good mood. She didn't mind giving her pet a little benefit. That's right. After last night, Ling Jing had become an exclusive pet in Su Peijian's heart. If this pet's performance could satisfy her, she would give him more money after 6 months. Su Peijian's mind was purely about the transaction, so after breakfast, she changed her clothes and went straight to work. She was used to arriving at the company half an hour earlier. As for Ling Jing, after that, she threw it to the back of her mind. After all, who would care about what a pet thought? Ling Jing slept very soundly. His injury hadn't fully recovered yet. The amount of exercise yesterday still tore the wound. Later, it was completely based on his unwillingness to admit defeat. Unexpectedly, he didn't take advantage of it at all. When he woke up, Ling Jing was surprised by the slight fatigue in his body. He wasn't a young boy. He had had women in the past, but no matter how many times he had done it in a night, it was the first time he had felt such a carefree feeling. That woman wasn't like the women who had slept with him in the past. They were either young and inexperienced or skilled, but they lacked a little excitement. After all, there had never been a woman who wasn't afraid of death, who dared to leave so many marks on his body. Su Peijian's reaction in bed was very real and very passionate. When she was aroused, she would bite. The deep teeth marks on his shoulder were proof of her arousal. And the more she was like this, the more intense his reaction was. In the end, he didn't know whether it was because of his unwillingness to admit defeat, that he wanted her to beg for mercy that he had the upper hand. Or was it because he surrendered to Su Peijian's passionate reaction, and only wanted her to respond more passionately? When he got up, he found that the room was empty. He frowned slightly. He thought about the previous few times that the woman had been cooking in the kitchen. He didn't know why, but he really wanted to see that woman's expression as soon as possible. He had worked so hard yesterday, that woman should have shown some performance, right? However, Ling Jing didn't expect that there was no one in the kitchen, nor in the study. Looking at the cold breakfast on the dining table, he was extremely sure that the woman had really left. That damned woman, she had broken his habit again. He had always been the one in a hurry to leave a woman's bed. This was the first time that a woman couldn't wait to leave his bed. Ling Jing gritted his teeth and resisted the urge to find that woman and teach her a lesson. The moment he lowered his head, he looked at the marks on his body. An inexplicable thought flashed through his mind. He was the one who had been raped by his girlfriend. Su Peijian was that irresponsible female customer. She was completely irresponsible to his girlfriend. As soon as this thought came to his mind, Ling Jing felt terrible. You said she was irresponsible? Her words from yesterday were still ringing in his ears. She paid and he did the work. He had originally wanted her to come to him. Damn it. That damned woman. How could there be such a hateful woman? His face was gloomy, and his hands were tightly clenched into fists. That woman, he must make her pay the price. He decided that tonight, he must try his best to provoke all of Su Peijian's reactions. Then she just wouldn't give it to him. He must teach her a lesson. He must. However, to Ling Jing's disappointment, when he got off work and waited until 9 o'clock in the evening, that woman actually didn't come back? Ling Jing's face became even more ugly. In Su Peijian's apartment, which was too small for him to use as a bathroom, he still lost his temper. He wanted to contact that woman, but he remembered that that woman didn't give him any contact information at all. Ling Jing felt not only a headache, but also a pain in his wound. It was at this time that Wuxia bumped into him and brought over a thick stack of information. Young master, I have found out what you asked me to find out. Ling Jing had never been so angry. He was waiting for that damned woman to come to his door. But that damned woman actually didn't come home. Looking at the stack of information, he picked it up without thinking. So much. You said to be more detailed. Ling Jing nodded. Yes. Of course, it had to be more detailed. The more detailed, the more he could know that woman's weakness, and the easier it would be to deal with her. The moment he opened the information, he glanced at Wuxia. By the way, help me find out where that woman is now. Wuxia was stunned. He looked at Ling Jing and felt that the young master was a little abnormal today. He couldn't help but take another look at Ling Jing. This look didn't matter, but it gave him a fright. Ling Jing wanted to see his subordinates, so naturally, he was wearing clothes. However, there were 2 obvious scratch marks on his neck above his collar. In addition to those 2 scratch marks, he looked at the mark below, which seemed to be a bite mark. Damn! How could there be a bite mark on the young master's body? Who bit him? He thought of the young master asking him to find out where that woman was. Guxiu's eyes widened. It couldn't be what he thought, could it? That woman was not simple. What's wrong? Is there a problem? No problem. Guxiu lowered his head and didn't dare to look at Ling Jing again. The mark on Ling Jing's neck made it impossible for him to look directly at the young master. I'll go check it now. Hurry up and tell me immediately when you find it. Ling Jing waved his hand and signaled Guxiu to get out of here. He was about to concentrate on the stack of information, but he suddenly realized something after Guxiu closed the door. He quickly got up and went to the bathroom. He successfully saw the unconcealable mark on his neck in the mirror. Ling Jing's face turned green. He suddenly punched the wall, and his gloomy face was as black as a pot lid. Su Peijian. Damn that woman. She really deserved a lesson. Su Peijian, who was eating with Xiang Kaiping, felt a little itchy in her ear. She calmly drank a mouthful of soup, not taking this indifferent feeling to heart. Xiang Kaiping watched her drink the soup with a smile in her eyes. I started stewing this soup this morning. I see that you've been working hard recently. Drink more and nourish yourself. Thank you, Mom. Child, I've already said that you don't have to thank me. Su Peijian didn't respond. She had experienced many things and had long seen it clearly. Even if they were close relatives, it didn't mean that they were obligated to do anything for you. Moreover, she was already an adult. Peijian. Xiang Kaiping looked at Su Peijian and thought about why she had to come home for dinner today. Do you still remember Mrs. Lin from the 5th villa next to us? Mrs. Lin. Su Peijian had some impression of her. The one with a golden retriever at home? She seemed to have seen Mrs. Lin walking the dog when she was running in the morning. Yes. Didn't her golden retriever run around and rush into our garden? It damaged a lot of the flowers I planted. I even told you about it. Yes, why? Did her golden retriever destroy our garden again? She didn't notice when she came in just now. Did Xiang Kaiping ask her to find someone to raise the fence? No. It's nothing. Xiang Kaiping quickly explained, here's the thing. I went for a walk today and happened to meet Mrs. Lin. Her son is back. By the way, her son has been abroad before and just came back recently. He's now working as a CEO of a foreign company. I've seen him. He looks talented, and his conditions are not bad. Mrs. Lin said that her son is not married yet. I wanted to ask you if you want to pick a time to meet him. Su Peijian looked at Xiang Kaiping. She didn't expect that she would go around in circles to ask her to go on a blind date. Mom, there are a lot of things to do at the company now. I'm afraid I'm not in the mood. Child, I'm not asking you to get married right away. You should at least get in touch with him. Xiang Kaiping knew that her daughter used to have a fiancé, and that she used to be with someone from the Hua family. However, she really didn't want Su Peijian to have anything to do with the Hua family. If the 2 sisters married into the same family, she was really afraid that they would dislike each other again. It wouldn't be good if there was discord. Su Peijian saw the flash of worry in Xiang Kaiping's eyes and finally nodded. Okay, it's not a big deal to make 1 or 2 more friends. However, I think you probably didn't make it clear to them, Mom. What did I say? I mean, next time someone wants to introduce me to someone, please tell them that I was released from prison after serving 2 years. Only 1 sentence. Xiang Kaiping's expression changed. She looked at Su Peijian in a daze. Her lips trembled, and her eyes slowly became misty. Peijian, that matter is in the past. Let's not talk about it, okay? Mom, don't be naive. Su Peijian smiled. It was such a big news that I went to prison. I don't believe that people can't find out. I don't want to waste everyone's time. It's better to make some things clear in advance. Xiang Kaiping naturally understood. However, no matter what her daughter had done wrong, she was still her daughter. Moreover, this daughter had changed. She was so obedient and good. She didn't want her daughter to grow old alone. Pei-Zhen, you still blame me, right? Blame me for not protecting you? If she had begged Su Qingsang to let Su Pei-Zhen go, she wouldn't have been in prison. Mom. Seeing that Xiang Kaiping was here again, Su Pei-Zhen felt really tired. I don't blame you. I'm just telling the truth. After all, the past has already happened. There's no way to change it. I was in prison. I made mistakes too. I don't think there's anything to hide. If the other party can't accept it, and you don't make it clear to them, they might think that I'm lying if they really fall in love with me in the future. That would be so boring. But, Xiang Kaiping didn't finish her sentence. How much evil was there toward women in this world? How could she not know that? That was the prejudice of the world. Even if Su Pei-Zhen didn't do anything, in the eyes of those people, her past would be a stain. No buts. Su Pei-Zhen didn't want to discuss this with Xiang Kaiping anymore. In this aspect, her understanding of Xiang Kaiping was different. What has already happened, no matter what has already happened. Mom, I won't run away. And I won't feel guilty. If I can get over it, I hope you can too, Mom. It's not a big deal. Her attitude was calm, but Xiang Kaiping was influenced by traditional thinking. She really couldn't be as open-minded as her daughter. Pei-Zhen, I'm sorry. Su Pei-Zhen really had a headache. She didn't know how Su Qingsang used to put up with Xiang Kaiping. Sometimes, she really had the urge to ask Su Qingsang. With Xiang Kaiping's twisted brain circuit, how did Su Qingsang manage to be close to her mother and her daughter? Mom, I'll say it again. You didn't do me wrong. You didn't do anyone wrong. I'm fine now, really fine. You don't have to worry about me. As for marriage, if you think that the man is suitable, I can meet him. But I just want to make things clear in advance, to avoid misunderstandings in the future. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter. I've been really busy recently, and I don't think that women have to get married. So Mom, you don't have to blame yourself, don't feel guilty, and don't worry about me. Is that okay? For Su Pei-Zhen, this was already her rare patience. If Xiang Kaiping still couldn't accept it, she could only go home less. After all, she really didn't feel sorry for herself, and she really didn't need Xiang Kaiping's guilt. In her eyes, these emotions were useless. After getting Xiang Kaiping's answer, even though she knew that she couldn't change Xiang Kaiping's view in a short time, Su Pei-Zhen still felt more or less relieved. She turned and went upstairs to take a shower. As for Ling Jing, who she had left in Rongyuan condominium, sorry, Su Pei-Zhen had forgotten about her again. Su Pei-Zhen started to get busy. The company was going to build a new warehouse system, logistics system, and online shopping platform. She hired someone to redesign the company's website. The company used to have a website, but the page was old and slow. Su Pei-Zhen wouldn't allow that to happen. Not only did she hire someone, but she also specially posted a recruitment advertisement, looking for talents in this area. Also, the Lunar New Year was coming, and some of the company's celebration activities were about to start. She was very busy. In addition to the department store, she also had to make her tens of millions of assets more useful. Recently, the futures prices had fluctuated a lot. Su Pei-Zhen was born to be good at business. After talking with her financial advisor, she insisted on her judgment. To her, doing business was sometimes a big gamble. Her boldness made her financial advisor's heart tremble, but he couldn't help but admire her foresight. It was a happy thing to see the wealth under one's name increase exponentially. It wasn't until the next time her period came and left that Su Pei-Zhen finally remembered. She spent money on a pretty boy, and she hadn't seen him for a long time. Thinking of the last time they had sex, it wasn't a bad feeling. Recalling the feeling of her body at that time, she finally decided to go back and have sex with her pet. At this time, it had been nearly half a month since she had sex with Ling Jing. With a sudden change in identity and a fall from the clouds, it wasn't hard to imagine what would happen next. Unable to accept the change in her identity, the woman did many hurtful things. However, from Ling Jing's point of view, Su Peijian was hopelessly stupid. If the weeds are not removed by the roots, they will grow again when the spring breeze blows. If she really wanted to deal with her half-sister, she could just kill her and be done with it. How could there be so many troubles in the future? However, he thought of Hu Jiniao. Even Ling Jing had to admit it. Hu Jiniao had contributed a lot to the Hu family's success. When the old man mentioned Hu Jiniao, he was full of praise. At that time, he thought that the old man wanted Hu Jiniao to be his son. Of course, praising Hu Jiniao was one thing. He paid attention to Hu Jiniao not only because he was the president of the Tianyu group, but also because the Hu family's network was not inferior to the Ling family's. Last time, that uncle of his had caused the old man to suffer quite a lot of losses. In that case, Hu Jiniao and the Hu family could be considered the Ling family's enemy. Su Peijian courted death and got herself into prison. The crime was ridiculous. Stealing trade secrets. As for what Su Peijian had done before, it was not worth mentioning to someone like Ling Jing. Was this woman bad? Bad. But not bad enough. No. Even if she wasn't ruthless, she was still ruthless. Her ferociousness was now directed at him. Looking at her eyes, they were as calm as a pool of stagnant water. He couldn't find any emotional reaction in them. She was really calm. He thought of the last time she said that she had just come out of prison. He thought that she was trying to be ruthless, but he didn't expect it to be true. Woman, you're really... What's the matter? Su Peijian caught the flash of anger on Ling Jing's face. She frowned in confusion. As if she had thought of something, she suddenly nodded with a look of understanding. I'll transfer the money to you later. Is 500,000 enough? Recently, her investment had been good, so she didn't mind spending this small amount of money. Ling Jing's expression changed again. He looked at the woman in front of him and tried his best to resist the urge to strangle her. Do you think I'm doing this for money? Otherwise? Su Peijian raised her eyebrows and looked at the man in front of her without a trace of emotion. I'll transfer the money to you. Now get out of the way. After saying this, she passed him and continued back to the room. A hand appeared on her waist, and her body was turned around. Ling Jing was so angry that he laughed. He curled his lips and hooked her chin with one hand. His eyes were light. So generous? 1 million before, and now 500,000? If I don't work hard, wouldn't I be sorry for the money you paid? Su Peijian didn't like this kind of unforeseen intimacy. She calmly waved his hand away. If you think money is too easy to earn, you can be more obedient. I don't mind giving you more. He wanted to push Ling Jing away. The man's anger had not subsided. He lowered his head and wanted to gag her like last time. Su Peijian seemed to be aware of his actions, and her expression changed slightly. When Ling Jing's head approached her, she lifted her foot and stomped on his foot forcefully. At the same time, she reached out and pushed him away. Ling Jing was caught off guard and was actually pushed away by her. Not only was he pushed away, but the pain in his foot also made him take 2 steps back. Su Peijian stood up straight, straightened her clothes, and looked at the man in front of her with displeasure. Didn't I make the rules clear enough last time? Recognize your identity. Recognize my identity? You. Ling Jing looked at the woman in front of him and almost blurted out. Do you know who I am? Su Peijian didn't have time to pay attention to Ling Jing's psychological activities. That wasn't necessary. Before entering the room, she glanced at her. Go take a shower, brush your teeth, and clean yourself up. Come over later. Her tone of command didn't carry much emotion. She had indeed been very busy and tired recently. She needed such a love affair to vent, and also to satisfy herself. The door of the room opened and closed. Ling Jing's face turned pale and green. Damn this woman. She really treated him like a duck. He stood in the corridor, and for a moment he wanted to turn around and leave. After staring at the closed door for a long time, Ling Jing suddenly smiled. Okay. Clean up, right? No problem. Do it with her, right? No problem either. If he didn't make this woman beg for mercy this time, wouldn't he be letting down his reputation? Even if Su Peijian wanted to have sex with Ling Jing, she was very calm. She went to the bathroom to take a bath and drip essential oil. She closed her eyes and enjoyed the relaxation in front of her. She liked this time of day. In fact, it was too tiring in the company, and it was even more tiring in front of Xiang Kaiping. She never thought that one day, her place to relax would be such a small apartment. However, she glanced around the bathroom. Now that she looked at it, the apartment was indeed a little small. Maybe she should go to the neighborhood to see if there were any suitable buildings. Buy a duplex? Get someone to pay attention tomorrow. If there was no duplex, she could buy an entire floor. Although Su Peijian was taking a bath, her thoughts never stopped. The matter of the company, the investment, the matter of buying a house. In just a few minutes, she had gone through it all. She had sorted it out and relaxed. She got up from the bathtub and casually wiped the water stains on her body. She put on a bathrobe and left the bathroom. When she went out, she was not surprised to see Ling Jing lying on her bed. Today, with Ling Jing here, it would be a waste not to use it. The woman's figure was dyed with a layer of haziness under the light. Her back was as smooth as jade, which made Ling Jing stand up for some reason. He walked behind Su Peijian. Su Peijian took his hand and squeezed some moisturizer into his hand. "Help me wipe my back." She said it again. This time, Ling Jing didn't need her to say it. He reached out and touched her back without any resistance. The touch of the memory combined with the sight in front of him. He couldn't bear to let go of her butterfly bone. Wipe it all. Su Peijian felt that he was only touching one place, and frowned with some dissatisfaction. Also be gentle. He couldn't even do such a small thing. How stupid. Ling Jing, who didn't know that he was being despised again, moved his hand down, but his eyes saw Su Peijian's body. The bathrobe had been taken off, and it was barely covering her waist. The key point was blocked, but there was a feeling of wanting to say something, but not wanting to. Ling Jing's plan before entering the door had been thrown into a corner. His mind was filled with the idea of pressing this woman under his body, and doing it on the spot. He thought so and did so. He picked up Su Peijian's body and kissed her lips. Su Peijian was a little dissatisfied. He hadn't finished wiping her back. She wanted him to continue, but she felt Ling Jing's hand wander around her back in a somewhat disorderly manner. He kissed her with an eagerness that wanted to swallow her breath. Su Peijian didn't like this speed. She wanted to push him away, but Ling Jing lifted her body and hung her in the air. Then he walked to the bed in a few steps. Her body was pressed down, and her low cry was kissed by him. The bathrobe had fallen to the ground at some point. The room with the heater on wasn't cold, and it was even a little hot. The temperature rose steadily, and the smell of the man's body assaulted her face. Su Peijian gave up the idea of letting him slow down. She raised her foot and hooked it around his waist. Ling Jing's rationality completely dissipated. There was only one thought in his mind: to conquer this woman, to make her submit to him. A new round of competition began. Ling Jing, who wanted to regain his dignity, worked especially hard that night. He had never been so devoted and crazy in a relationship with a woman. There had never been a woman who could make him so out of control and unable to stop. Su Peijian was even more tired than last time. She almost couldn't get up in the morning. She raised her hand and rubbed her forehead. The soreness in her arm made her grit her teeth slightly. She turned her face and saw that Ling Jing was sleeping soundly beside her. It seemed that he was really short of money. He had worked so hard last night. Even though she didn't want it anymore, he still held her waist and refused to let go. Su Peijian narrowed her eyes. She didn't like this. Although this pet was strong, it wasn't very obedient. She got up and went to the bathroom to take care of herself. Seeing that the man was still sleeping, she had no intention of waking him up. She casually made herself breakfast. When she was about to leave, she found that Ling Jing was still sleeping. Su Peijian, who had said that she would transfer the money yesterday, thought for a moment, took out another card and put it on the bedside table, leaving a note. She turned around and went to work without looking back. When Ling Jing opened his eyes, there was a sense of satisfaction in addition to the slight fatigue in his body. It wasn't that he hadn't had other women before, but with those women, it was mostly pure physical desire. Every time he was done, he would send those women away. He didn't have the experience of sleeping with a woman, nor did he have the idea of conquering a woman. But he did that last night. He plowed on that woman again and again, wanting her to admit defeat, wanting her to beg for mercy. Unexpectedly, the woman didn't admit defeat. Instead, her reaction was even more enthusiastic than last time. She was as beautiful as a rose, but more beautiful than a rose. She was as charming as a demon, but more seductive than a demon. This woman was like a poppy, making people know that it was dangerous. But they couldn't help but want to get close to her, want to take her off. Ling Jing closed his eyes. His body hadn't pulled out of the extreme and satisfaction like last night. This was a feeling he had never felt before. Almost every part of his body was clamoring, like a traveler walking in the desert who had drunk enough water. Not only was he satisfied, but he also saved his life. Ling Jing suddenly withdrew his consciousness and sat up. At the same time that he was awake, his reason also returned. He successfully remembered his plan from yesterday at this moment. He wanted to provoke that woman's interest, not let her be satisfied, and then make her beg him. But what happened after that? Not only did he not succeed in making that woman beg for mercy, but he was also addicted to it. Ling Jing's expression was very ugly for a moment. He couldn't understand how things could be so out of control. He got up and wanted to find that woman, wanting to get back at her. But from the corner of his eye, he saw the card that reflected the golden light on the bedside table. It was a super VIP card issued by a certain bank. Needless to say, this was left for him by that woman. In addition to this card, there was also a note under the card. There were only 2 lines written on it. Go buy a mobile phone and save my number. The next time I come over, I will call to inform you. Next to it was a string of numbers. Needless to say, this was that woman's number. Ling Jing looked at the note and pinched the fingertips of the card. Blue veins popped out, and he used so much force that he almost broke the card. Good, really very good. This damn woman. She really treated him like a duck. Not only did she send him off with money, but she also treated him as a pet that came and went at her beck and call. What did she mean by calling when she was coming? What did this mean? Let him wait here for her to come? Damn woman. It was really too damn. Ling Jing didn't need to get up now. He could completely guess that the woman was not here at all. He kept panting. There was a nameless fire in his heart, but there was nowhere to vent it. Just as he was trying his best not to find that woman and beat her up, the watch on his wrist rang. What's the matter? Ling Jing's tone was not very good. He had a gloomy face. If there were any subordinates at this time, they would definitely be affected by the anger emanating from his body. Gu Xiu on the other end of the phone was shocked by Ling Jing's tone, and his voice was a little more careful. Young master, Shen Jing has been caught. Ling Jing's face changed, and he got up from the bed. The gold card was thrown back to the bedside table. Lung Yin got up, quickly put on his clothes and left. Shen Jing clearly heard the sound of his ribs breaking. You really aren't afraid of death, and I believe that you won't say anything. But tell me, if I bring Shen Lefyu to me, I won't be able to help you. Is she afraid of death? Shen Jing's eyes widened. He almost thought there was something wrong with his ears. No, that's impossible. Impossible? Young master wouldn't know, no one would know. What's impossible? I wouldn't know that you have a sister. Do you think I wouldn't hurt her? Shen Jing suddenly reacted. He kept twisting his body and looked at Ling Jing, because the pain of his broken ribs had completely twisted his face. Young master, this is what I did alone. It has nothing to do with Lefyu. Let her go, let her go. It's too late. Ling Jing retracted his foot and took a step back. He looked coldly at the person in front of him. Prepare to see what happens to your sister. After saying this, he glanced at Gu Xiu. Gu Xiu understood and gestured for the others to take Shen Jing away. Shen Jing couldn't move his hands and feet. When he was grabbed, he kept struggling. Young master, I was wrong. Young master, I beg you. I'm begging you. That's why I did it all by myself. It has nothing to do with my sister. Ling Jing didn't speak. He directly dragged him out. Shen Jing shouted. Young master, I'll talk. I'll tell you who ordered me to do this. I beg you. I'll tell you everything. Please let my sister go. Ling Jing's fingertips moved, and the two subordinates stopped. Ling Jing walked in front of Shen Jing and looked down at him in a sorry state. Young master, I'll talk. When Shen Jing spat out the name, Ling Jing expressionlessly turned his face to the side. Ling Jing didn't say anything, waiting for his sentence. Ling Jing saw the expectation in his eyes and waved his hand. Take him away and let someone treat his injury. Young master. Gu Xiu didn't understand. Ling Jing suddenly smiled. That smile made people shudder. If his injury is not good, how can he see with his own eyes that his sister pays the price for what she did? Young master. This time, it was Shen Jing's turn to scream. He still wanted to speak, but Ling Jing had lost his patience. After Shen Jing was taken away, Gu Xiu looked at Ling Jing worriedly. Young master, do you believe what Shen Jing said just now? I don't. Ling Jing hooked his lips, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. I don't believe a word he said. Then. But that doesn't mean that person is not suspicious. Ling Jing narrowed her eyes, and the light in her eyes was very dangerous. So the best way is to invite our Miss Shen to come over as a guest, and let her good brother, our traitor, have a good look at how we entertain his most beloved little sister. Yes. Gu Xiu felt a little cold on his back. Young master was like this to traitors. He would never show mercy. Chapter 824. As for Ling Jing, after taking 1.5 million from her, Su Peijian believed that the other party would have a bigger appetite. He might not be here today, but he'll be back in a few days. She took a bath and relaxed herself completely. Then she applied her skincare routine and went straight to bed. However, before falling asleep, Su Peijian glanced at the bed. Xiao Zhao didn't change the bedsheets every day. The sheets on the bed were newly changed, and there was not a single trace of it. She sat down and looked down. There was no scent on the sheets. Ling Jing? Did that man really run away? Su Peijian hadn't received any consumer information in the past few days. There was no reason for that man to take a 500,000 yuan card and not spend a single cent. What about him? She narrowed her eyes and suddenly thought of something. It was true that the man did not spend her money, but it did not mean that he did not spend other women's money. Su Peijian suddenly had a bad feeling. At that time, he only wanted to relax and forgot about one thing. Feeling a little uncomfortable, she called Zhou Mei. Su Peijian gritted her teeth and forced herself to endure the discomfort. Then, she closed her eyes and went to sleep. On the other side, Ling Jing had already asked someone to bring Shen Jing's younger sister, Shen Lefyu. Shen Lefyu had a baby face and looked much younger than her actual age. I heard that he had just graduated from university this year. 1,000 ways to deal with Shen Lefyu flashed through Ling Jing's mind. But at this time, Gu Xiu entered the door. Young master, Miss Su has returned to Rong Garden. Ling Jing froze for a moment and didn't remember who Miss Su was for a second. He had always referred to Su Peijian as that woman. Now that Gu Xiu mentioned it, he had almost forgotten that the woman's name was Su Peijian. Thinking of what that woman had done to him, there was some gloominess in his heart that could not be dispersed. He coldly glanced at Gu Xiu. Does it have anything to do with me? Who told you to tell me this? Get out. Gu Xiu had an inexplicable look on his face. Thinking about Shen Jing's broken ribs, he quickly left. He left, but Ling Jing couldn't calm down. That woman went home. If they didn't see him, would they think that he ran away with the money? As the young master of the Ling family, how could he run away with the money? He absolutely could not let that woman have such thoughts. Moreover, he wanted to teach that woman a lesson. Thinking of this, Ling Jing seemed to have found a way out. He was right. He would teach that woman a lesson right now. When Su Peijian was half asleep, she felt someone lying on top of her. She frowned uncomfortably. When the pressure became even heavier, she instinctively lifted her leg and gave it a hard kick. There seemed to be a low cry in his ears, and then there was a bang. That voice woke her up, and she opened her eyes to look at the person in front of her. No one knew when Ling Jing had arrived. She was sitting on the ground with a pained and shocked expression on her face. Ling Jing looked at Su Peijian. She really didn't expect that Su Peijian could still be so strong even when she was asleep. "You, woman, what are you made of?" Previously, they had slept with each other's necks intertwined, and their passion was like fire. Why was she kicking him, as she pleased the moment she turned around? Su Peijian didn't sleep very well, but she hated it when people touched her. During her 2 years in prison, 1 or 2 of her cellmates saw that she was pretty and wanted to bully her. She had punched him back with her fist. What's the big deal about kicking Ling Jing? Su Peijian couldn't sleep anymore. She sat up and looked at Ling Jing, who was sitting on the floor. He was wearing an Armani Prive suit jacket. Although he was sitting on the floor, the Prive's custom-made suit jacket made him look more casual. He sat there and looked at her with raised eyebrows. His almond-shaped eyes were unusually seductive. Su Peijian wasn't in the mood to appreciate it. "What are you doing in the middle of the night?" Ling Jing looked at Su Peijian and was inexplicably speechless. He had come back to teach Su Peijian a lesson. He thought that the woman must be tossing and turning without him around and couldn't sleep well. Who knew that when he entered the door, he would see the woman sleeping soundly. She seemed to be sleeping a little hot, and the blanket had slid down a lot. Her crimson silk nightgown with spaghetti straps had fallen off because of her movements. Most of her shoulders were exposed. The woman didn't feel it at all. Her black hair was scattered, and her small face and skin were as white as snow. Ling Jing had seen many women, but he had to admit, this Su Peijian was really good-looking. A little more was too much, and a little less was too little. She was sleeping, and he should have let her sleep. But looking at the situation in front of him, he remembered his purpose for coming. To teach this woman a lesson. Since she wanted to teach her a lesson, she even asked if she was sleeping. He didn't expect that before he could do anything, Su Peijian would kick him. He, the dignified young master of the Ling family Ling Jing, who had no problem fighting against 10 people alone. But he was kicked out of bed by a woman? If this matter were to spread, how could he save his face? Ling Jing couldn't answer. But Su Peijian didn't have much patience. She looked at the clothes on his body and scolded him with a cold face. "Get out." Ling Jing stood up and approached Su Peijian. His voice carried anger that he didn't even notice. "Why are you going out? We haven't seen each other for a few days. Don't you miss me?" Su Peijian looked at him and thought of her previous plan. Her face darkened. "I said get out. I won't." Ling Jing was angry. He moved in front of Su Peijian and lowered his head to kiss her. Su Peijian took out the self-defense skills she had learned. She hooked her hands around Ling Jing's neck and pulled him. Ling Jing was caught off guard. He thought that she was going to hug him. But he was pressed on the bed, and the woman's hands were strangling his neck. "I'll say it again. If you want more from me, be obedient. Now get out. I don't want to see you." "You." He pulled her hands away and was about to fight back. But Su Peijian's next words made him stop. "I've arranged a medical examination for you tomorrow. Before I get your health report, stay away from me." Ling Jing took a few seconds to digest Su Peijian's words. He suddenly stood up and stared at the damn woman in front of him in shock. What do you mean?" "Nothing." Su Peijian put her sling back to its original position and calmly straightened the quilt. She looked at him, as if she was looking at an object. "I was careless before. Who knows if you have any hidden diseases? Who knows how many women you've had sex with?" Especially when she didn't intend to keep an eye on him all the time. She wasn't in the mood to keep an eye on him, but she could make her own requests. "Su Peijian." Ling Jing's face turned green, but Su Peijian didn't feel it at all. In fact, Ling Jing was the object she bought, even if her words were direct and unpleasant. So what? Chapter 825. To put it bluntly, in Su Peijian's heart, Ling Jing's role was similar to that of a toy. She didn't mind keeping such a person, but before that, she had to ensure her own safety. Also, next time when you do it, please wear a t-shirt. Her eyes were full of disdain, and her tone was emotionless. Ling Jing felt that he would be angered to death by this woman sooner or later. Seeing that Su Peijian seemed to be planning to go back to sleep, He pressed his body against hers without thinking. Wear a t-shirt. Ling Jing's face was gloomy as he put his hands on her sides. Won't you lose a lot of fun that way? After all, with that extra layer, the feeling will be much worse. He touched the woman's smooth and delicate face, which made him want to pinch it. Get off. I won't. As Ling Jing spoke, he tugged at her suspenders. Not only will I not leave, but I will also do it. I won't go for a checkup. I won't wear it. What can you do to me? His tone was rascally, and his attitude was shameless. If anyone who was related to the Ling family, or knew Ling Jing saw this scene, their eyeballs would probably fall out of their sockets. Su Peijian didn't like the rascal in front of her. Ling Jing was probably wrong about one thing. He was indeed good at his looks. But so what? You don't want the money. Get off. Money. It would have been better if she hadn't mentioned money. As soon as she mentioned money, Ling Jing became more and more angry. He pressed on top of her and put one hand on her waist. I want you more now. Lowering his head, he tugged at her suspenders again. It was a crimson silk nightgown, and her skin was as white as snow. Ling Jing's breathing was a little heavy. Su Peijian stared at his face. Men had a natural advantage in terms of body shape. If he forced himself on her, she really couldn't resist. If she couldn't resist, she had other ways. She put her hand on his chest, and her expression was very cold. Ling Jing. This was the first time Su Peijian called his name. I said, since you acquiesced in our relationship, then you have to follow my rules. If you can't follow my rules. Her clear voice paused at this moment, and she pointed at Ling Jing's chest. You know, I don't have to have you. With this condition, I can find a lot of men who are better than your looks. Understand? With her current status, it was not impossible for her to find a small celebrity to play with. He was not her only choice. Ling Jing looked into Su Peijian's eyes and knew that this woman was telling the truth. If he really couldn't satisfy her, she would really dare to replace him. She went to find another man. Ling Jing's tooth socket is a little sour, damn woman. Not only was he ruthless, he was also merciless. People say that a day as husband and wife means 100 days of love. After all, they had slept for 2 nights. But this woman, she didn't feel any gratitude at all. When Su Peijian saw that he didn't speak, she seemed to be sure that he had understood. She turned over and wanted to go back to sleep. Ling Jing, who was furious, didn't care about anything else. No matter what, he must teach Su Peijian a lesson today. He lowered his head and kissed her lips forcefully. He gave up all his technique, all his gentleness. All he had was the most primal impulse, the desire to conquer the female that had not evolved even after thousands and tens of thousands of years. He nibbled on her lips with great force. Another man? A muffled voice sounded between her lips. His hand easily tore her thin nightdress. Are you sure? He unceremoniously captured her softness, and his voice was evil and arrogant. Are you sure they can satisfy you like I do? You? Su Peijian glared at him, as if she didn't expect Ling Jing to dare to do such a thing to her. Ling Jing, you'd better leave now. Leave. Ling Jing exerted force in his hand. Are you sure? Aren't you being sarcastic? Are you sure you don't want me to continue now? The two of them only spent 2 nights together. But those 2 nights were already better than many nights. He knew her weaknesses and where her sensitive spots were. He wasn't really a young boy without any experience. To deal with Su Peijian, a casual move was enough. He thought about it very well, and that was what he did. At first, Su Peijian wanted to resist, but then she thought of something and suddenly stopped moving. Only when Ling Jing's hand pulled the last piece of her nightdress away, he spoke in an extremely cold voice. According to the provisions of Article 236 of the criminal law, forced sex with a woman will be sentenced to more than 3 years and less than 10 years in prison. As she spoke, she took the phone on the bedside table into the palm of her hand. She swiped the screen and said, "Do you want to try it too? How does it feel to be in prison?" Ling Jing was very disappointed by her reaction, but he was unwilling to admit defeat just like that. He supported his body with one hand and grabbed the phone from her fingertips with the other. The process was very smooth. "Woman, do you want me to remind you? You gave me money to support me. If something really happened, it wouldn't be called rape, it would be called rape. Really? Su Peijian let him take the phone away. Do you want to try it? Her gorgeous eyes were extremely cold, without a trace of emotion in them. Ling Jing was completely lost now. Su Peijian didn't care about what he thought. She pushed him away with force and lay down on the side. Remember to close the door for me. Ling Jing gritted his teeth and stared at Su Peijian's face for a long time. Finally he got out of bed. However, he didn't go out. He went to the bathroom to take a shower. Su Peijian didn't have time to pay attention to him. Not long after, the man came back again, covered in water vapor. Regardless of Su Peijian's reaction, he directly put his arms around her waist. Before Su Peijian could speak, he pulled her into his arms. Woman, if you keep making noise, I don't care about rape or not. I'll just do you directly. You. It seemed that this pet really needed to be replaced. It was too disobedient. I'm tired. Go to sleep. Ling Jing acted shamelessly. He had lost again and again, so he had to regain some face. He didn't want to leave. He closed his eyes and looked as if he had already fallen asleep. Su Peijian was very not used to sleeping in such a position. She stared at the man's face for a long time and decided in her heart to kick this man out tomorrow. At present, the man didn't make any further moves, and she didn't want to continue arguing on such a meaningless matter. She closed her eyes and slept. As for Ling Jing, she would just pretend that she had a dog sleeping next to her. When Su Peijian woke up the next day, she was still thinking about how to kick Ling Jing out. Passing by the living room, Su Peijian saw the phone she had brought back yesterday and thought for a moment. Forget it. It would be troublesome to replace him. She would make things clear with Ling Jing later. At least she had to let him understand her rules. If he could abide by them, she would keep him. If not, she would kick him out. However, before Ling Jing wakes up, she receives a call from the company first, so that she can make things clear to Ling Jing. When a warehouse manager was moving things, he didn't pay attention to the order in which they were stacked. As a result, the goods on top fell and hit his head. Now he was sent to the hospital. It was almost the new year, and suddenly such a thing happened. As the boss of the company, Su Peijian had to go and take a look. The man was seriously injured. He had a concussion and internal bleeding. When Su Peijian arrived, he had already been pushed into surgery. The people who sent the man were also colleagues from the company. Su Peijian comforted them and asked them to go home first. She said that the company would definitely pay for the employees' medical expenses and follow-up treatment. After comforting the people in the company, she called Zhou Mei and asked her to find someone to find out why the accident happened. Was it purely an accident or something else? As soon as she hung up the phone, the police arrived. It turned out that when the accident happened, someone called the police, and the police came to investigate as usual. As Su Peijian was a person with a criminal record, the police paid special attention to her. Su Peijian didn't care about the look in the police's eyes, and told them what she knew. As for the rest, she would let the police investigate it themselves. It was already afternoon by the time she was busy. She didn't even have lunch. It wasn't until the news came from the hospital that the man's surgery was successful, and his life was temporarily out of danger, that she was more or less relieved. The company's annual meeting was scheduled for 3 days later. For a moment, everyone was worried that the company would cancel the annual meeting after such an incident. Su Peijian told Zhou Mei to inform the staff that the annual meeting would continue. Moreover, in order to reassure people, the original set of prizes were doubled. Su Peijian handled these matters quickly. She took care of everything that could be handled by herself. She also told people not to tell Xiang Kaiping, otherwise she would worry again. She was busy until night, and somehow, Xiang Kaiping still found out. Su Peijian had to go back to the villa and explain the matter to Xiang Kaiping. It was indeed because the workers were careless. The police also checked the surveillance footage. It proved that it was an accident. She had already taken care of the aftermath. The injured person was actually her responsibility, but in order not to be criticized, Su Peijian told the victim's family that she was willing to pay for the medical expenses and wouldn't hold the victim responsible. That was the end of the matter. Xiang Kaiping looked at her with gratification in her eyes. Peixian is really capable. Su Peixian didn't know how to respond. She had encountered all kinds of business crises when she was learning from Li Qinxue and Su Qinghui. This was something that couldn't be any more trivial. However, seeing Xiang Kaiping's affirmative look, she actually felt that it was a good feeling. It was a rare moment of relaxation. The next day was the weekend, so Su Peixian promised Xiang Kaiping to go shopping with her the next day. In fact, if it had been her, she would have bought it online or called someone to deliver it. However, Xiang Kaiping felt that it would be more festive if she went shopping. Su Peixian couldn't bear to disappoint her, and it was indeed the new year, so she could only spend 2 days with her. Seeing the smile on Xiang Kaiping's face, Su Peixian felt that it would be good if she could stay like this. 2 days later, Su Peixian received a call from the hospital. Only then did she remember that she had made an appointment for a physical examination. When she made the appointment, she had made an appointment with 2 people. The other one was naturally Ling Jing. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.